This young man has cultivated for thousands of years. With his profound power, he is revered as the Ziwei Heavenly Venerable. However, right on the verge of ascension, Mok Ly unexpectedly chose to turn back time and return to the past. At that exact moment, a beam of light shines down on the altar, while lightning from the sky strikes directly onto the rooftop of a college campus. Mok Ly has returned to May of 2017, back when he was still just a college student. Zhou Shiheng, in this life, I will never let you hurt my family again. With that thought, Mok Ly immediately stands up, pulls himself together, and runs back to his dorm at Longshan Polytechnic University. Currently, inside room 1103, he is all alone, adjusting to his rebirth. Mok Ly knows exactly what he needs to do first. Make money fast to lift his family out of poverty. He has to secure every single penny he can get, no matter how small. With that in mind, he opens his laptop and starts typing away furiously. A moment later, a loud commotion comes from the door. It looks like his roommates are back. They are excitedly talking about trying out a new crawfish place that just opened near campus. But the moment they open the door and spot Mok Ly sitting at his desk, their mood instantly shifts, and they start mocking him. Well, if it isn't young Master Mew. Skipping class again today? We are starving, so how about you treat your big bros to dinner tonight? Mok Ly hears them but plays deaf, keeping his focus on clacking away at his keyboard. Seeing that he is being ignored, the roommate aggressively snaps at him. You poor loser, you think you're too good for us now? Aren't you afraid we'll expose your little secret to the entire class? You're not some rich second-generation heir, it's all a fake. Mok Ly still can't be pressured to care. By now, he has finished formatting his laptop's hard drive, wiping all of its data clean. Seeing Mok Ly playing dumb and their friend getting more fired up, the other two roommates quickly step in to de-escalate before a fight breaks out. Come on, Joe, let it go. If he wants to pretend he's rich, just let him play pretend. But seriously, Mok Ly, your roommates have been keeping your secret all this time, and you don't even show a shred of gratitude. Acting like you don't owe anyone anything is really uncool. Mok Ly knows they're all cut from the same cloth. Although those two sound like they're defending him, they're actually just rubbing salt in his wounds. Ignoring them completely, he packs his laptop into his backpack and slings it over his shoulder. Go ahead and tell whoever you want. I really couldn't care less. This sudden change in Mok Ly's attitude completely catches his roommates off guard. They're all stunned, except for Zhou, who is still incredibly furious. You little piece of trash. We gave you a way out and you still want to act tough? Want me to beat you to a bloody pulp? His insults get nastier by the second. But to Mok Ly, it's nothing more than a dog barking in the distance. He has much bigger things to worry about. Although the gods showed mercy and allowed him to be reborn, his cultivation and magical powers have been completely drained. On top of making money, Mok Ly must also find a way to restore his lost powers. He takes his laptop to a computer repair shop. Wiping all his data earlier was solely so he could sell it for cash. But even though his laptop looks brand new, it is 3 years old. So he only gets 800 yuan for it. Clutching the meager bills in his hand, Mok Ly feels a wave of intense guilt. To buy him this laptop when he first started college, his mother had to scrimp and save for months. Yet now, it is not even worth 1,000 yuan. Yet, in his past life, driven by a desperate need for status, he pretended to be a rich kid, partying at clubs every night and throwing money around to treat his superficial friends. And whenever he ran out of cash, he would shamelessly text his mother, pressuring her to send more. Because of his selfishness, his mother worked herself into the ground, causing her health to deteriorate until she passed away. By the time Mok Ly realized his mistakes, it was far too late. That's why he willingly sacrificed his 5,000 years of cultivation just to return to the past and make things right. Hey, Mok Ly! Right in the middle of his thoughts, someone calls out his name. When he turns around, he sees his younger sister, Mu Xin. Seeing her alive and well right in front of him, his heart grows heavy with emotion. In his previous life, his actions dragged her down, eventually driving her to jump from a high-rise building to end her own life. Noticing the pale look on his face, Mu Xin asks, "Bro, what's wrong with you?" "It's nothing, really." Mok Ly snaps out of his memories, waving his hands off. In his heart, he swears he will protect her in this life and never let her or their mother suffer again. Then, he watches Mu Xin rummage through her bag and pull out a paper envelope. She hands it to him, explaining that it contains 5,000 yuan from her part-time jobs over the last 2 semesters. "Take this, and stop asking Mom for money," she says. Mok Ly is stunned. How could his sister have saved up so much? But before he can ask, Mu Xin anxiously forces the money into his hands. His sister scolded him and told him to stop playing dumb. She already knew that Mu Ly had threatened their mother, saying he would drop out of school if she did not give him money. She also knew that he spent his entire day partying and messing around with a bad crowd. But after all, blood is thicker than water, and neither their mother nor she could just abandon him. Take it and start acting like a decent human being, young Master Mu. Calling him young Master Mu was highly sarcastic. In his past life, Mu Ly's foolish pride had turned him into a parasite, draining every single penny from his mother and sister. But in this life, he really did not need it. He told his sister to keep the 5,000 yuan for her school expenses. But at the mention of school, his sister's face grew even darker. After stammering for a moment, she finally worked up the courage to admit that she had dropped out a long time ago. Because of a massive family debt, creditors had already started showing up at their doorstep. Their mother could not possibly earn that much money alone, so she had quit school to work part-time, giving up her own education to let her brother study. Hearing this, Mu Ly felt as if a sharp knife had sliced right through his heart. He rushed over and wrapped his sister in a tight hug from behind, a sudden gesture that left her utterly stunned. "What are you doing? I'm sorry, sis. Just give me some time. Trust me, I will definitely make things better for our family." He uttered those words with absolute certainty in his voice. Mu Ly's sister was used to his empty promises, but for some reason, she felt like something was different about her brother this time. To be precise, he suddenly felt incredibly reliable. After saying goodbye to his sister, Mu Ly headed straight to a traditional Chinese pharmacy. He used the money from selling his computer to buy some medicinal herbs, then headed to a forest on the outskirts of the city. He needed those herbs to brew a medicinal concoction. Since spiritual energy on Earth was incredibly scarce, he had to rely on medicine to speed up his cultivation. Before long, the herbs in the pot began to fuse together, eventually turning into a clear liquid that looked just like pure water. This meant Mu Ly had succeeded. He drank the bowl of medicine in one gulp, sat down, and began meditating to regulate his breathing. Cultivation was divided into 5 realms, from lowest to highest. The Qi refining realm, the Yuan Dan realm, the divine soul realm, the deity transformation realm, and the highest, the celestial realm. Although he had lost all of his power, his past life experience was still completely intact. That knowledge would definitely help him regain his power at maximum speed, even if he only reached the first level. The Qi refining realm. His strength would already far exceed that of ordinary people. Mu Ly focused entirely, and after an hour, he successfully broke through to the first level of the Qi refining realm. He tested his new strength with a single punch, and his fist smashed clean through a massive tree trunk. Mu Ly was highly satisfied. For now, this level of strength was enough for him to deal with the martial artists of Wuxia. Now that his strength was sorted out for the time being, his next priority was to find the fastest way to make money. And Mu Ly already had a place in mind. He headed straight to an internet cafe. But of course, he was not there to play games. He wanted to access the Epic Trading Network. This website was also known as the Global Black Market, where people could trade information, buy and sell items, and post or accept various missions. As soon as Mu Ly clicked onto the site, he noticed a mission pinned at the top, posted by an anonymous user. The target was the daughter of Su Wen, a wealthy man in Longshan, and the bounty on her head was 10 million yuan. Below the post, a notification showed that an assassin named Feng Qi had already accepted the job. The comment section was absolutely blowing up over the news. Since Feng Qi was a top-tier assassin, taking the hit himself meant the beloved daughter of the Su family was as good as dead. Many users seemed to feel sorry for the Su family, as Su Wen was known to be a peaceful, law-abiding businessman who kept to himself, and his daughter was exceptionally beautiful. No one knew who they had offended to have such a deadly hit placed on her. Mu Ly found it hard to believe someone would spend 10 million just to take a young girl's life, but this situation seemed to play right into his hands. Because scrolling down a bit further, he spotted an urgent distress post from a user named Su Family, looking to hire a top-tier bodyguard to protect their daughter for 1 month for a reward of 20 million yuan. Mu Ly chuckled. No one had accepted this mission yet. It seemed like it was practically custom-made for him. Without a second thought, he immediately accepted the task. Mu Ly's username on the site was Wuji, a name completely unknown to anyone. Seeing a complete nobody like him dare to take a job that pitted him against Feng Qi, the online spectators were highly amused. Talk about a newborn calf not fearing the tiger. This is going to be good. As soon as he took off his headphones, Mu Ly's phone rang. After giving the caller his location, He calmly sat back and waited for the Su family to come pick him up. On the other end, Su Wen's secretary frowned in doubt after seeing Mu Li's location at an internet cafe. "Sir, can we really trust this person? The fact that someone accepted the mission is already a miracle. Let's just pick him up and go from there." Half an hour later, Mu Ly arrived. Right now, we are in front of the Su family villa. Su Wen might be called a businessman, but he is far from ordinary. At only 45 years old, he is already the chairman of one of the biggest conglomerates. This massive villa is just a tiny fraction of his vast empire. When Mu Ly steps out of the car, Su Wen can't help but be shocked. He never expected the person taking on the mission to stop Feng Qi would be this young. Su Wen personally comes out to greet him, asking, "Are you really Mr. Wuji? I am the one who posted the request, Su Wen. Please, come inside and let us talk." Instead of sitting down for tea right away, Mu Ly asks Su Wen to show him around the villa first, so he can get a good feel of the layout. Su Wen agrees immediately. As he leads the way, he begins to explain the situation. It turns out Mr. Su had a bitter rival in the business world, and the two had been feuding for years. Not long ago, Su Wen got his hands on evidence of his rival's illegal financial dealings and handed it all over to the police. As a result, a warrant was issued for his rival's arrest, forcing the man to flee the law. But then, the desperate rival resorted to dirty tactics for revenge. Because Su Wen's daughter means the world to him, he did not hesitate to spend a fortune hiring elite bodyguards to ensure her safety. Mu Ly now has a clear picture of the situation. Along the way, he keeps a sharp eye on the Su family villa and says, "Mr. Su, your villa might seem quiet, but you have got quite a few people hiding around here, don't you?" Su Wen is completely stunned. He actually has dozens of bodyguards hidden all over the property, and he is certain they are fully concealed and dead silent. He never expected Mu Ly to spot them with just a quick glance. "Of course, it is a good thing that you took the initiative to set up an ambush, Mr. Su. But to be honest, Mu Ly advises him, against an elite assassin like Feng Qi, these guys are absolutely useless." Just then, Su Wen's secretary rushes over to announce that Master Lin has arrived. As it turns out, Mu Ly is not the only one invited. To protect his daughter's life, Su Wen also invited Lin Yue, a 62-year-old mid-tier martial artist, along with his disciple, Zhao Chuan, a low-tier martial artist. The moment he arrives, Lin Yue lets out a heavy sigh, explaining that he wanted to bring some backup, but everyone refused the second they heard they would be facing Feng Qi. Hearing this, Su Wen's face pales instantly. Lin Yue quickly reassures him, "Don't lose heart. Your father was a dear old friend of mine. I will do everything in my power to find the best way to help you." It is only then that Lin Yue notices someone else is also standing there. Su Wen quickly introduces Mu Ly, explaining that he is the one who accepted the mission from the global black market under the alias Wuji. Both Lin Yue and Zhao Chuan gape in utter disbelief. They can't believe such a young kid has the guts to go up against the infamous assassin Feng Qi. Zhao Chuan, in particular, looks at him with pure skepticism and speaks up, asking, "Hey kid, $20 million in bounty money. Do you really think you have what it takes to claim it?" It is obvious that Zhao Chuan's attitude is dripping with contempt. Lin Yue quickly barks, "Zhao Chuan, show some respect." Even though he scolded his disciple, both Lin Yue and Su Wen harbor deep doubts of their own. After all, Mu Ly is just too young, and they have no idea what he is actually capable of. With this in mind, Su Wen asks if he already has a plan to protect his daughter. Mu Ly nods, then tells him that for the first step, he needs to shut down all the security cameras in the villa and dismiss the hidden bodyguards. Upon hearing this, Lin Yue lets out another deep sigh and shakes his head. "My young friend, are you trying to bait Feng Qi out into the open? Such a simple trick won't work on him. He won't fall for that." "No," Mu Ly replies bluntly. "I only told you to do that because they are too weak. Keeping them here will just get in my way." Those words leave Su Wen, Lin Yue, and Zhao Chuan absolutely shell-shocked. They have no idea how strong Mu Ly really is, but his arrogance is off the charts. Then, he glances at Lin Yue and Zhao Chuan, adding that the two of them can barely manage to stay. Hearing they can barely manage to stay is a massive slap in the face. Zhao Chuan immediately blows his top, yelling, "You arrogant brat! Do you think you are a martial grandmaster or something, looking down on others like that? Do you have the guts to duel me?" Mu Ly scoffs coldly. "What is a martial grandmaster anyway? In my past life, I was just one step away from ascending to godhood. If you want to test me, you are not nearly enough on your own," Mu Ly replies. His words only push Zhao Chuan's rage to the boiling point. Still, he does want to show his client a glimpse of his actual strength. So, he tells Su Wen to gather every single person who knows how to fight on the property to attack him all at once. He is more than ready to take on 100 opponents by himself. Su Wen never expected Mok Ly to be confident enough to make such a wild request, so he suggests that he should test his skills against Zhao Chuan first. However, Mok Ly has absolutely no interest in such low-level challenges. At that moment, the hidden bodyguards of the Su family villa begin to assemble. They are swarming in like a colony of ants. It looks like Mr. Su spent a fortune putting this massive security force together. Seeing this, Zhao Chuan smugly crossed his arms, feeling that even without him stepping in, these guys were more than enough to handle Mok Ly. He wanted to see just how many seconds the kid could actually last. The moment he finished speaking, the bodyguards from all sides charged at Mok Ly simultaneously, but he just stood there, completely still. There was absolutely no sign of him fighting back or running away. Neither Su Wen nor Lin Yue could hide their doubt seeing him just stand there like a statue. They were even worried that Mok Ly was frozen in fear. But the real show was about to begin. Because as the bodyguards aggressively rushed him and the first guy threw a punch at Mok Ly, it was like hitting an invisible wall. The impact triggered a massive explosion with Mok Ly at the center. The blast instantly blew all the bodyguards away, not a single one spared. As for Mok Ly, he was still standing there with his hands in his pockets, completely relaxed and, of course, utterly unharmed. Not even a single strand of hair was out of place. The trio of Su Wen, Lin Yue, and Zhao Chuan were completely dumbfounded by this scene. What on earth just happened? He didn't even lift a finger, Su Wen gasped. Right then, Mok Ly turned around and gestured for Zhao Chuan to come at him too. Even though he had just witnessed Mok Ly's incredible strength firsthand, Zhao Chuan really couldn't stand that arrogant, smug look. Annoyed by the kid's total disregard for everyone, Zhao Chuan charged with everything he had. When he was about 3 meters away from Mok Ly, he leaped high into the air and unleashed a flashy spinning kick. Too bad he couldn't even touch Mok Ly and was instantly blown away by a single counter-move. This was definitely no ordinary counterattack. Just looking at how Zhao Chuan got sent flying, you could tell how insanely powerful that force was. "What about you?" Mok Ly asked. Turning to Lin Yue after dealing with Zhao Chuan, Lin Yue quickly cupped his hands respectfully and said, "Mr. Wuji, I was foolish and failed to recognize your true power. Please accept my sincerest apologies." Zhao Chuan struggled to pick himself up, but he was completely shocked when he saw Lin Yue's attitude. "Master, are you saying even you are no match for him?" Lin Yue shook his head and explained that even Mr. Liu, who had recently reached the Martial Venerable realm, was no match for Mok Ly. The moment those words left his mouth, Su Wen's jaw dropped. He could hardly believe he had hit the jackpot with this mystery hire. "Is that true?" "Absolutely," Lin Yue confirmed with absolute certainty. "Mr. Wuji is a Martial Venerable Master, with power that knows no bounds." If Lin Yue said so, it had to be true. Su Wen had always hung on his every word, but this piece of information was still a bit too hard to swallow. After all, Mok Ly looked so young. He didn't have the vibe of an incredibly powerful Martial Venerable at all. Right at that moment, Su Wen's daughter, who had absolutely no idea how much danger she was in, finally woke up. Once Mok Ly's strength was proven, Su Wen invited him inside to formally discuss the plan to protect his precious daughter. Before this, Mok Ly had laid down 2 conditions. First, there had to be an upfront deposit of exactly 2 million yuan. Second, during the mission, his orders were absolute. If he said go east, you don't dare go west. Su Wen naturally had no reason to refuse and immediately ordered his people to arrange the payment. Mok Ly nodded in approval, then added, "Once I get the deposit, I'll need to go out tomorrow for a day to wrap up some personal matters." Hearing this, Su Wen instantly panicked, because that guy Feng Qi was notorious for striking fast. He feared they might make a move on the Su family's daughter as early as today or tomorrow. "In that case, Mr. Su's daughter will just have to come with me," Mok Ly replied. Su Wen was hesitant, believing that no place was safer than the Su family villa. That was exactly why he had kept his daughter locked indoors for the past few days. While he was lost in thought, old Master Su heard his daughter call out, "Dad!" The 3 of them looked up to see Sujiaki standing on the stairs, looking sleepy and still wearing her nightgown. She was Su Wen's only daughter, having just turned 19, and was indeed exceptionally beautiful. Seeing his daughter dressed like this, Su Wen felt both embarrassed in front of his distinguished guest and highly anxious. "Why are you dressed like that out here? We have guests over. Go change right now." "I'm practically under house arrest every single day. just eating and sleeping, sleeping and eating. What else am I supposed to wear if not pajamas? Su Jiaqi retorted with a rebellious attitude, making Su Wen's blood boil. Lin Yue quickly stood up to play peacemaker, suggesting that since Su Jiaqi had been cooped up for too long, it was only natural for her to feel frustrated and act out. Su Jiaqi glanced over at the group, and seeing Mu Li's unfamiliar face, she pointed straight at him and asked, "Who's this guy?" "Su Jiaqi, I'm warning you, Mr. Wuji, is an honored guest who's here to protect you. Don't you dare be rude." Su Wen grew even more anxious, terrified that his daughter might offend Mu Li and drive him away. But the girl, clearly spoiled since childhood, didn't show a shred of gratitude upon hearing that Mu Li was there to protect her. Instead, she looked at him with sheer disdain. Just him? Mu Li set down his teacup with a sharp clink, making Old Master Su break into a cold sweat. He then stood up and gave the young heiress a brief, casual introduction of himself. He also demanded that the young mistress follow his orders for the next 1 month to guarantee her safety. In return, he wouldn't restrict her freedom or lock her up in the house. Hearing this, Su Jiaqi immediately caught the main point. No restrictions? Then I want to go out. Mu Li turned to look at Su Wen, who, despite his deep worries, could only sigh helplessly and nod in agreement. Su Jiaqi had gotten exactly what she wanted. Her eyes lit up instantly. Being locked in the house for the past few days had bored her to death. Then, Master Su put on a serious face and set one condition for his daughter. Tomorrow, when she goes out with Mu Li, she must stick to him like glue and absolutely not run off. Su Jiaqi agreed on the surface, completely clueless about the danger she was currently in. So she thought to herself, once she got outside tomorrow, there was no way in hell she was going to blindly take orders from a mere bodyguard like Mu Li. The next day, Su Jiaqi got all dolled up and hopped into her family's luxury car with Mu Li. The moment they left the villa, she told Uncle Tone, the driver, to head straight to Metropolis because she hadn't been shopping in ages. But Mu Li, sitting beside her with a stone-cold expression, ordered Uncle Tone to drive to Longshan University of Technology instead. Seeing this, Su Jiaqi was furious and snapped, "Uncle Tone, who are you supposed to be listening to?" But unfortunately for the young mistress, luck wasn't on her side, because since yesterday, Su Wen had made it crystal clear to all the household staff that for the next 1 month, for her own safety, they all had to obey Mu Li's commands. So, between the two of them, Uncle Tone obviously chose to listen to Mu Li. Realizing Uncle Tone was ignoring her, Su Jiaqi lost her temper completely and threw a tantrum, demanding he let her out of the car. Through the rearview mirror, Uncle Tone shot Mu Li a desperate look for help. "Let her out," Mu Li said flatly. The car pulled over instantly. Feeling triumphant, Su Jiaqi threw the door open and stepped out, scoffing, "Well then, this lady is leaving." However, the place where Uncle Tone had pulled over was a desolate, middle-of-nowhere wasteland with absolutely nobody around, except for the occasional eerie caw of crows. Su Jiaqi froze in terror at the sight. It took her only about 2 seconds to read the room before swallowing her pride and climbing right back into the car. Her face was red with embarrassment. That stunt was absolutely humiliating. Mu Li wasn't exactly a smooth talker. Seeing Su Jiaqi's face so dark and sullen, he felt a bit annoyed and said, "How about this? Stop throwing a fit. Just behave and come with me to finish my errands first. And after that, I'll go wherever you want." Su Jiaqi huffed, clearly displeased, but she had absolutely no comeback for that. Before long, they arrived at the dorms of Longshan University of Technology. Su Jiaqi stepped out of the car first, staring at the building in utter disbelief. "Is this where you live? It's a total dump." Mu Li couldn't care less and just got out of the car without saying a word. A luxury car showing up in the middle of the dorm area, combined with an absolute goddess stepping out of it, was a massive deal to the students there. A group of boys crowded the balconies and started catcalling, which only disgusted Su Jiaqi even more. So when Mu Li told her to follow him inside, she resisted with every fiber of her being. "My lady, the master gave strict orders that you must stay within Mr. Wuji's sight at all times." Uncle Tone tried his best to coax her, but his words were nothing compared to Mu Li's single line. "If you still want to go shopping later, get inside now." Su Jiaqi really wanted that shopping trip, so she pouted and followed him all the way up to his room. At that moment, Mu Li's 3 shirtless roommates were gaming together. Seeing Mu Li return with a gorgeous girl in tow, they immediately started smirking and teasing him. Well, look who it is. Master Mu, this chick isn't bad at all. Hey, why don't you let your bros hang out with her for a bit too?" Ever since his rebirth, Mok Ly already detested these toxic roommates, and seeing them shamelessly hit on Sujiaki right in front of him made his blood boil even more. He stepped in front of her and growled, "Stay away from her." The three of them just sneered. "Whoa, what's with that look? We just teased your girlfriend a little, all right? Why so serious? It's just a joke. We're buddies, right? You wouldn't actually get mad over this, would you, Master Mu?" Mok Ly scoffed coldly. "If you love hitting on girls so much, go find your own to mess with." With that, Mok Ly used a sliver of his spiritual power to teach them a lesson. While Sujiaki didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, under the influence of his power, the three roommates saw countless roaring skulls surrounding them, screaming for their lives. The sight was so terrifying that all three of them collapsed to their knees, shaking like leaves and stammering for mercy. "What's wrong with them?" Sujiaki asked in confusion, since she couldn't see what they were seeing. "It's nothing, just a minor hallucination," Mok Ly replied. He then told Sujiaki to sit at his desk and wait for a bit. He packed some clothes, took a quick shower, and got ready to leave. Before long, the two of them were back in the car, with Sujiaki still. Burning with curiosity over his roommate's reactions, Sujiaki turned to Mok Ly and asked, "Hey, tell me already, what kind of dark magic did you use back there anyway?" Seeing the spoiled heiress's dramatic attitude, Mok Ly got a major headache and just raised his fist. "You already know what I'm capable of, so why are you still disobeying me?" Sujiaki instinctively jumped back, shielding her face with both hands and letting out a loud shriek. But Mok Ly just sat back down in his seat and casually said, "Just kidding, how could I ever lay a hand on a wealthy young lady like you?" Sujiaki, feeling completely played once again, was so furious she wanted to throw hands with Mok Ly right there in the car. Just then, Uncle Tone, who was driving, turned around to ask where they should head next. Getting back to business, Mok Ly called his younger sister to find out where she was. Mu Xin told him she was at work and gave him her address. So, the car sped off toward 107 Longta Road. When they arrived, Mok Ly realized the place was actually a restaurant. But this wasn't your average restaurant. All the servers were young girls dressed in maid outfits, treating the customers like absolute masters. Sujiaki didn't know his sister worked there and assumed Mok Ly had some kind of weird kink, so she couldn't help but burst out laughing. "So this is your thing, huh?" Mok Ly didn't reply because he was still in complete shock. He never expected his little sister to be working in a place like this. The two of them went inside, got a table, and ordered a few dishes. Mok Ly then asked their server if there was anyone named Mu Xin working there. The girl nodded immediately, saying Mu Xin was currently in the kitchen grabbing some food. A short while later, Mok Ly saw his sister carrying dishes out of the kitchen. Her heavy, flashy makeup and the maid uniform were a real eyesore for him. Mok Ly stood up in shock, just in time. "Xiao Xin, you have kept me waiting for far too long. Get over here right now." Mok Ly saw this with his own eyes, his brow furrowing instantly. The man before them was Sun Shengren, 23 years old, and the only son of the Sun Group real estate empire. But in reality, he was nothing more than a wealthy, spoiled thug. Judging by Mo Xin's expression, it was clear this wasn't the first time this creep from the Sun family had harassed her. "I still have work to do. Please excuse me, young master Sun," Mo Xin said, trying to bear with him. "Hey, don't leave yet," Sun Shengren called out. He even pulled a small box out of his pocket, revealing a sparkling diamond ring inside. Then came his proposal, "Xiao Xin, be my girlfriend." His dramatic gesture instantly stirred up the crowd in the shop. People began whispering and crowding around to watch the drama unfold. Even though Sujiaki was sitting quite far away, she still recognized this guy from the Sun family. Mok Ly didn't step in just yet. He wanted to see exactly what kind of dirty tricks this punk was trying to pull on his sister. Sun Shengren shoved the ring right in front of Mo Xin's face, looking incredibly smug as he continued, "Xiao Xin, I know your family is dirt poor, and you have a useless brother who burns through money like water. I know life has been incredibly hard on you. Just be with me, and I promise you will live a life of pure luxury from now on." Although he was supposed to be confessing his love, Sun Shengren's condescending tone made it feel like a blatant insult to Mo Xin. But even if he had been more polite, he still wouldn't be her type. So, Mo Xin firmly rejected him and calmly went right back to doing her job. Sun Shengren never imagined that a poor girl like her would actually turn down his lavish offer. Overcome with embarrassment and rage, he grabbed a glass of water from the table and poured it all over his own crotch. Then, he roared, "Manager, get your butt out here right now." Seeing that the troublemaker was the young master of the Sun family, the shop owner didn't dare delay for even a second and rushed right out. Showing absolutely no shame, the punk began making up a story, claiming that Mo Xin had splashed water on him and demanded that she personally wipe it clean. The moment the owner heard this, without even trying to find out the truth, he blamed everything on Mo Xin and was about to slap her as punishment. But just as his hand swung forward, someone grabbed his wrist, stopping him dead in his tracks. "Who the hell are you?" "Let go of me," the shop owner screamed. But Mo Ly's grip was incredibly powerful. The owner couldn't break free at all, and with just a slight shove, Mo Ly tossed him backward. With a loud crash, the owner's bloated body slammed hard against a table, breaking it clean in half. Needless to say, that had to hurt like hell. Every single staff member and customer who witnessed the scene could only gape in utter shock. Mu Xin was no exception. She never expected her brother to suddenly show up here. As for Su Jiaqi, this was her first time seeing Mu Ly's fighting skills, and she was completely stunned. The shop owner was so big and burly, yet he got tossed around like a helpless puppy. Who even are you? You'd better mind your own business." Sun Chengren scrambled to his feet, running over to Mu Ly and pointing a finger right in his face. Compared to the shop owner, this guy was built like a twig, meaning he'd be even worse at taking a beating. And of course, he ended up exactly like the shop owner. As Mu Ly slammed him to the ground, every inch of Sun Chengren's body ached, as if several of his ribs were shattered, but he still tried to act tough, spitting out a threat. "I'm the heir to the Sun Real Estate Group. You dare hit me? Do you have a death wish?" "Oh, well, what a surprise. I didn't realize the Sun Real Estate Group was such a big deal." Just then, another voice cut in, making Sun Chengren's face instantly turn pale. "How dare you touch my guy?" Sun Chengren thought his ears were playing tricks on him at first. He never expected Su Jiaqi to actually show up, let alone step in to defend Mu Ly. How could his tiny family business ever compete with the massive Su Corporation? So, before Su Jiaqi could call her dad to settle things, Sun Chengren knew his place and quickly scrambled out of the restaurant. Seeing how pathetic he looked, Su Jiaqi found it hilarious. She nudged Mu Ly's shoulder and teased, "You owe me a huge favor now, you know?" Actually, no. It was Sun Chengren who owed her his life. And he meant it. If Su Jiaqi hadn't stepped in, he probably would have sent Sun Chengren straight to his grave. Su Jiaqi wanted to say more, but Mu Xin grabbed Mu Ly's hand, urging them to get out of there quickly. Mu Ly had so many questions, but in the end, he could only bring himself to ask why Mu Xin was working here. "The pay is good," his sister replied as briefly as possible. Mu Xin's heart-wrenchingly calm attitude made Mu Ly feel incredibly guilty. It turned out that, because of a spendthrift brother like him, his little sister had to endure such humiliation. Yet, in his past life, Mu Ly had been completely oblivious. He stood frozen in place for a long time, totally speechless. "Mu Ly, I haven't changed my clothes yet," Mu Xin mumbled. Only then did Mu Ly realize she was still wearing her maid uniform. He turned to Su Jiaqi and asked if she knew any good clothing stores nearby. Su Jiaqi immediately flashed a bright smile and said, "You've asked the right person." Together, they headed out to visit a few shops. Su Jiaqi picked out several outfits for Mu Xin, and every single one looked stunning. But when Mu Xin saw the price tags, she went pale and quickly waved her hands, saying, "These are way too expensive. I can't afford them." "What are you worried about? Your brother is loaded now. He could buy out this entire store if he wanted to, let alone a few clothes," Su Jiaqi reassured her. "How is that even possible?" Mu Xin was utterly shocked. "He's actually working as my personal bodyguard right now, and let me tell you, the pay is insanely high." Mu Xin was still hesitant, but in the end, she let Mu Ly pay for the clothes. Once they were done shopping, he transferred another 200,000 yuan to his sister, telling her to keep some for herself and give the rest to their mother to pay off their debts. Mu Ly knew his sister had a ton of questions, but he couldn't exactly tell her he had been reincarnated. Even if he did, she probably wouldn't believe him anyway. So, he made up a story instead, claiming that he had crossed paths with a mysterious master who opened his eyes and passed down profound martial arts to him. Long story short, he was a completely changed man now. He thought his cover story was pretty convincing, but Mu Xin wasn't that naive. "Mu Ly, do you honestly expect me to believe this nonsense?" "Come on, sis. I really have changed," Mu Ly pleaded sincerely. "People don't just change overnight for no reason, do they?" Mu Xin pressed. Her question left Mu Ly completely speechless. The two of them locked eyes for a few silent seconds before Mu Xin suddenly burst out laughing. "Whatever. Even if you don't want to tell me the real reason, it's fine. I'm just glad you've changed. I'll go home and let Mom know about all of this." As Mushin turned to leave, Mok Ly called out to her, asking her to apologize to their mother on his behalf. But his sister refused, saying those were words he needed to tell their mother himself. Only after his sister had disappeared from sight did Mok Ly feel relieved enough to walk back to the car, where Sujiaki was waiting to tease him. "So, Master Mok Ly, with all your incredible martial arts, let me ask you something. You're not one of those tough guys who fears nothing but is secretly terrified of his little sister, are you?" Mok Ly didn't say a word, but his face flushed red with embarrassment, which was answer enough. Seeing this, Sujiaki decided to let him off the hook. Once the car started moving, she kept bringing up how much she had helped him out today, from handling Sun Chengren to helping his sister pick out clothes. Naturally, she hinted that Mok Ly should find a way to repay her. Mok Ly knew exactly what the young mistress was hinting at, so he told Uncle Quan to drive wherever she wanted. They would go wherever she pleased. Hearing that, Sujiaki cheered with joy and immediately instructed Uncle Quan to head straight to Metropolis. After all, her absolute favorite thing in the world was shopping. Since the young mistress was in such a fantastic mood, she shopped non-stop until late in the afternoon. As for Mok Ly, his role as a bodyguard had temporarily transformed into a human coat hanger. Only when the back seat was completely piled high with shopping bags did she finally feel satisfied enough to head home. But just before Uncle Quan started the engine, Mok Ly suddenly sensed that something was off. Uncle Quan was sharp enough to notice the sudden change in his expression and asked, "Mr. Wuji, is something wrong?" "It's nothing. Let's head back," Mok Ly replied. And his gut feeling was spot on, because they were indeed being watched. The road back to the Su family's suburban villa wound through a sparsely populated, mountainous area. While the drive there had been perfectly fine, on the way back, Uncle Quan had to slam on the brakes. A massive, uprooted tree was blocking the entire road. Worried, Uncle Quan got out of the car to investigate. Mok Ly followed him, but just as the older man was focused on finding a way to move that tree trunk, something suddenly ripped through the air, heading straight for them. Under normal circumstances, Uncle Tone would have been dead before he even realized what it was. Fortunately, he was with Mok Ly. Using his powers, the young man froze the projectile mid-air. When Uncle Tone realized it was a bullet, his legs turned to jelly, and he collapsed in sheer terror. "Master Vokyuk, what is that?" Uncle Tone stammered. Mok Ly kept the bullet hovering in the air with a smug grin. To him, this little trick was nothing more than child's play. But hey, if they wanted to play games, he was more than happy to play along. With that thought, Mok Ly channeled a bit more of his spiritual energy. The bullets instantly reversed direction. Even without aiming, he had no trouble sending them right back to their owners. Before the two assassins hiding in the woods could even register what was happening, the bullets tore right through their skulls. Inside the car, Tujie Kai was dozing off until the commotion woke her up, prompting her to step outside. "What's with all the noise? What was that sound? Uncle Tone, why are you sitting on the ground?" Seeing her come out, Uncle Tone quickly warned her, "Young mistress, get back in the car, now, we're being ambushed." But before the words could fully sink in, Tujie Kai detected a rather strange scent in the air. By the time she realized it was knockout gas, it was already too late. Her body went completely limp, and she collapsed. Meanwhile, Uncle Tone had also passed out from the gas. The only one left standing was Mok Ly. He had expected an ambush, but this didn't feel like Fong Thic's doing. Curious to see who was pulling the strings, Mok Ly decided to play along and turn the tables on them. He left Tujie Kai lying there and slipped into the edge of the forest to hide. A few moments later, as the gas began to clear, Tujie Kai weakly opened her eyes to see several strangers in gas masks, pistols in hand, closing in on her. In her semi-conscious state, she kept crying out for Mok Ly, but there was no sign of him. The leader of the masked thugs didn't care about Mok Ly's sudden disappearance. He just ordered his men to grab Tujie Kai and get out of there. But right at that moment, the guy they thought had run away in fear materialized right behind them. "Who sent you? Where did you come from?" Mok Ly's cold voice sent shivers down their spines as they spun around in shock. They realized they'd been tricked, but seeing him completely alone, they let out a sigh of relief. "You little punk, you're all by yourself and you dare challenge us? Get him, boys, beat him to a pulp." At their leader's command, the thugs lunged at Mok Ly, but to him, they were nothing but absolute jokes. Mok Ly casually plucked a few leaves from a nearby branch. In anyone else's hands, they were harmless, but in his, they became deadly, razor-sharp weapons. With a simple flick, he shredded their defense. The leader's eyes nearly popped out of his head in sheer disbelief. Killing people with mere leaves? How had he never heard of such a monstrous master existing in Sunlong City? I'll ask you one more time. Who do you work for? Mok Ly spared only the leader, intending to squeeze some answers out of him. But to his surprise, the guy chose death over spilling his guts. Realizing he was completely outmatched, the thug bit down on a poison capsule hidden in his teeth. Within seconds, he was coughing up blood and dropped dead. With his only lead dead, Mok Ly couldn't help but feel annoyed. But since the guy had already kicked the bucket, he figured they should just head back home. He used a bit of his power to completely obliterate the fallen tree blocking the road, then walked back to Ziwei Kai. Mok Ly channeled a bit of his inner energy into her to neutralize the knockout gas. He hadn't planned on waking her up just yet, knowing she would only cause a scene. But right then, Ziwei Kai slowly opened her eyes. The very first thing she saw was Mok Ly staring right at her, with his fingers pressed right against her chest. Her immediate reflex was to sit bolt upright, cover her chest with both hands, and scream at the top of her lungs. "What do you think you're doing, you pervert?" And just like that, the exact headache Mok Ly wanted to avoid had officially begun. "I'm saving your life, obviously," he replied. Ziwei Kai was skeptical at first, but when she looked around, she saw the masked attackers slumped all over the ground. Ziwei Kai turned pale with fright, and she grew even more terrified when she realized these were professional hitmen sent to take her out. A few moments later, Uncle Tone also regained consciousness. Looking at the scene before him, his reaction was pretty much identical to Ziwei Kai's. Mok Ly told Uncle Tone to drive them back to the Tu estate, since he had already cleared the fallen tree anyway. Back at the Tu family mansion, Mok Ly brought Tavan and Lam Viet up to speed on everything that had just unfolded. Today, instead of running into Fong Thick, his daughter had crossed paths with a completely different group of assassins. Hearing this, Old Master Tu was filled with dread. Could they be from the Sat Sin sect? Lam Viet asked, his voice laced with concern. He asked, "I didn't think the Shasheng Gate would stoop to such cheap tricks. But those assassins all had a leaf tattoo on their wrists." Muley replied, "For now, that is the only clue we have." Lin Yue frowned slightly when he heard about that leaf tattoo. He only vaguely remembered hearing about it before, but he couldn't recall exactly which organization that tattoo belonged to. He just never expected that, besides Feng Qi, there were other people plotting against Sujiaki. As a father, Elder Su couldn't put his mind at ease, so he decided to ground Sujiaki from now on. "We really can't let our guard down," Mu Li agreed. Then, as if remembering something, he asked Su Wen to find him some high-quality jade bracelets. Although Elder Su had no idea what he wanted them for, he immediately had his secretary search for what Mu Li requested. The Su family was never short of jewelry, so it didn't take long for the secretary to bring back a box filled with exquisite jade bracelets. One look was enough to tell they were top-notch. Mu Li took the box, looking extremely pleased. "Does Mr. Wuji intend to consecrate these jade bracelets to ward off evil spirits?" Su Wen asked. "Consecration and warding off evil are just the talk of street charlatans. No true martial artist believes in that stuff," Lin Yue replied, leaving Elder Su feeling a bit embarrassed. "My apologies. It seems I was being ignorant." That night, Mu Li took the box back to his room. Actually, Elder Su's guess wasn't entirely off. After picking out the best jade pieces, Mu Li channeled some of his spiritual energy into them. Next, he picked out the finest solid jade bracelet of the bunch and headed over to knock on Sujiaki's door. She opened the door, looking totally annoyed. "It's this late, what do you want?" Mu Li handed her the bracelet and said, "Keep this close to your body starting tomorrow." There was nothing wrong with his words, but somehow Sujiaki took it completely the wrong way. She immediately covered her chest, her cheeks flushing red. "Close to my body? What are you trying to do to me?" Mu Li really had no idea what went on inside her head, but he couldn't be bothered to argue with this spoiled young miss, letting her play out her little drama. After handing the bracelet to Sujiaki, he took the jewelry box down to the living room. Lin Yue and Su Wen were still awake. Mu Li decided to give them a quick demonstration. He borrowed a pistol from one of the bodyguards. Then, he casually tossed a jade piece into the air, aimed, and pulled the trigger. The bullet zipped through the air, but just as it got within a few inches of the jade, it was deflected as if it hit an invisible barrier. Witnessing this, Lin Yue couldn't help but gasp in awe. "That is absolutely incredible." The jade fell back into Mu Li's hand, but it instantly shattered into 7 or 8 pieces. Su Wen instantly realized that the barrier could only block a single fatal blow, but they both knew that even one time meant saving a life. That alone made it priceless. Such a treasure obviously couldn't last forever. Actually, that's not true, Mok Ly explained. That was just a prototype, which is why it only worked once. These are the final products, and each of them can be used up to 4 or 5 times. Of course, the bracelet Mok Ly gave to Sujiaki was the highest grade piece. Since she was the main target of their enemies, he then handed the remaining ones to Lin Yue and Su Wen. He also told them to give one to his mother and sister, just in case they got dragged into this and targeted by their enemies. Su Wen didn't dare waste any time and immediately sent his men to deliver them. The next morning, Sujiaki stared at the jade bracelet Mok Ly had given her for a long time. She had no idea how powerful the item actually was, and dismissing it as out of style, she decided not to wear it. When she walked downstairs, she ran right into Elder Su, who was sipping tea in the living room. "Where are you off to now?" he asked. "Just going out," Sujiaki replied stubbornly. This girl really had some nerve. Even after what happened yesterday, she still didn't know what fear was, but Elder Su was genuinely terrified. To him, the outside world was crawling with enemies who wanted his daughter dead, so he forbid Sujiaki from going out. Mok Ly hadn't planned on interfering, but seeing that Sujiaki wasn't wearing the bracelet he gave her, he had no other choice. He had to tag along with her. This young miss was gorgeous, sure, but she seemed to lack any common sense. Just yesterday, assassins were literally hunting her down, yet today she had already completely forgotten the danger she was in. Leaving his bracelet behind was one thing, but now she was actively annoyed that he was shadowing her every move. Along the way, Sujiaki kept trying to shake Mok Ly off. Having him so close was making her feel completely uncomfortable. After a while, an idea suddenly popped into Sujiaki's head. She claimed she needed to use the restroom. Since men and women are different, Mok Ly obviously wouldn't follow her inside, so he patiently waited outside the door. He knew she was playing tricks, but he never expected this little she-devil would actually climb out of the window. But the moment Sujiaki climbed out of the restroom window, she found Mok Ly already waiting for her down below. "When did you even get here?" Sujiaki asked in shock, precariously dangling on the wall-mounted air conditioner. "Don't worry about when I got here. The point is you. You're flashing some skin there," Mok Ly helpfully pointed out. Hearing this, Sujiaki's cheeks flushed a deep red. After letting out a loud shriek, she quickly scrambled back inside the restroom. Her plan to shake Mok Ly off had completely failed. Sujiaki decided to protest by barricading herself inside the restroom, while Mok Ly patiently waited outside. Without a hint of annoyance on his face, Mok Ly was waiting for Sujiaki to finish doing her business when he suddenly heard someone calling his name. He turned around and realized the person who had just spoken was Ji Zhao, his former high school classmate. Not only was she the school's beloved goddess with stunning looks and a perfect figure, but she also had a gentle and friendly personality. Mok Ly used to be one of her many secret admirers. In his past life, during his time of wandering, Ji Zhao had actually helped him once. "Long time no see, Ji Zhao," Mok Ly greeted her. Seeing a stranger, Sujiaki's curiosity got the better of her, and she poked her head out of the restroom door to eavesdrop. Ji Zhao noticed her too and asked Mok Ly, "Is this beautiful girl your girlfriend?" "I'm guessing I'm right, aren't I?" Before Mok Ly could answer, Sujiaki shrieked, "Who would ever want to be his girlfriend?" With that, she quickly pulled her head back in. Mok Ly then asked Ji Zhao how she was doing and was glad to hear that she was doing well and everything was going smoothly. After all, Ji Zhao had always been perfect, and life had been relatively easy for her. Seeing Mok Ly, however, came as quite a surprise. "You've changed so much. Your vibe is completely different now." "Well, time changes people," Mok Ly replied. His words made Ji Zhao burst out laughing. "How old are you anyway? Why are you talking like an old man?" Mok Ly didn't argue. If she knew he had lived for 5,000 years, she would probably be scared out of her mind. After catching up a bit more, Ji Zhao suddenly remembered something. Her birthday was in a few days, and she was hosting a party at her place. Since they had just reunited, Ji Zhao invited Mok Ly on the spot. She promised to text him the time and location. Mok Ly had no reason to refuse, so he said he would definitely be there. Ji Zhao nodded. "All right, I won't interrupt your date then. I don't want to scare your girlfriend into staying in the restroom forever." After saying goodbye, Ji Zhao walked away. Watching her leave, Mok Ly couldn't help but feel a strange sense of irony. He never expected to have the chance to meet people he thought he had long forgotten in this lifetime. Just then, the phone in his pocket buzzed. Mok Ly picked up, only to hear Uncle Kwan's panicked voice on the other end. reporting that Sujiaki had stolen the car keys and driven off. And she doesn't even have a driver's license. Don't worry, leave this to me, Mok Ly reassured him. He had been so engrossed in his conversation with Jijiao that he completely forgot Sujiaki could escape through the restroom window. This girl was truly nothing but trouble. Meanwhile, Sujiaki was speeding away, basking in the sweet feeling of absolute freedom. But not long after leaving the mall, Sujiaki heard the loud, blaring sirens of a police car trailing right behind her. The police cruiser quickly cut off the young heiress's car, and an officer stepped out. He stated that they had received a report of someone driving without a license, and demanded Sujiaki show her driver's license. She was instantly cornered since she didn't have one to show. While Sujiaki was panic-stricken, she suddenly heard Mok Ly's smug voice. If you don't know how to drive, stay out of the driver's seat. Don't go giving other female drivers a bad name. Mok Ly's sudden appearance instantly made Sujiaki realize that he was the snitch. Damn you, Mok Ly, I'm going to kill you, she shrieked. Afterward, Sujiaki had to go to the police station to sort out her fines. As a result, even 3 days later, the young heiress was still furious with Mok Ly. For 3 whole days, Sujiaki locked herself in her room. She didn't want to step a foot outside anymore. 3 days later, when Mok Ly went to knock on her door, Sujiaki's face was still incredibly dark. What do you want? Get lost, I don't want to see you, she snapped, slamming the door shut. Come on out, I need your help with something, Mok Ly said, knocking a few more times. Hearing that Mok Ly actually needed her help, Sujiaki reluctantly poked her head out. She asked, what is it? At first, Sujiaki didn't seem interested in helping Mok Ly at all. That was until he promised that if she helped him, he would agree to one of her conditions. And Sujiaki's condition was that Mok Ly could never follow her around again. Without a second thought, he agreed instantly, though in his heart, he quietly mocked her for being such an idiot. Even if he wasn't by her side openly, he could still shadow her and protect her in secret. As for the favor, Mok Ly wanted Sujiaki to accompany him to Jijiao's birthday party. The moment she saw Mok Ly arrive, Jijiao was absolutely thrilled. Standing beside her was her father, Ji-er, who was around the same age as Master Su. Jijiao then took the initiative to greet Sujiaki first. Hi, I'm Jijiao, Mok Ly's old classmate. Hello, I'm Sujiaki, his master. Sujiaki replied haughtily. The word master left Jijiao completely stunned for a few seconds, before she shot Mok Ly a highly complicated look. Thought he had some kind of weird hobby. Meanwhile, Mok Ly was secretly cursing Miss Tu to high heaven. They had literally agreed on their fake identities before coming here, so they could make a grand entrance together. Oh, if it isn't the great young master Mok Ly, I never expected a loser like you to show up at Kuai Zhao's birthday party. Mok Ly heard a young man's voice. Even though years had passed, he recognized it instantly. It was No Min. In his past life, Mok Ly had suffered plenty of bitter defeats because of this bastard, and he could never forget those days of absolute humiliation. The moment Ngo Minch saw him, he sneered. Well, why is the great young master Mok dressed so modestly today? What's the matter? Did playing rich get boring, so now you're pretending to be a lowlife? As soon as the words left his mouth, the group of sycophants around him burst into laughter. Standing nearby, Tujia Kai didn't know anything about Mok Ly previously pretending to be a rich heir. All she saw was this group of people publicly insulting him. They were worse than flies. How could they even call themselves former classmates? Mok Ly, the flies around here are getting too noisy. Let's go for a walk outside. Tujia Kai spoke up with annoyance, perfectly stepping in to save Mok Ly. Being compared to flies cut Ngo Min deep, making him incredibly furious. But only then did he notice Tujia Kai's presence, and a wave of jealousy washed over him. He couldn't comprehend how a broke loser like Mok Ly could be with such a stunning woman. It is true what they say, the woman on your arm is your ultimate status symbol. With Tujia Kai by his side, even Mok Ly's simple outfit was enough to completely outshine everyone else in the room. Not long after, Tan Tan Nan and his wealthy father, Tan Dai Fu, arrived to join the celebration. The moment they arrived, Ton Than Nan approached Kui Zhao, raising a glass to wish her a happy birthday. Although Kui Zhao kept a smile on her face, she was secretly on high alert. She had already heard about Ton Than Nan's awful reputation and knew she needed to keep her distance from him. As Ton Than Nan raised his glass, his eyes locked onto Mok Ly standing in the crowd. He still hadn't forgotten the absolute humiliation Mok Ly put him through at the maid cafe last time, and he had sworn that the next time they crossed paths, he wouldn't let him off easy. While Ton Than Nan was racking his brain for a way to get back at Mok Ly, Ngo-min stepped out of the crowd to offer him a toast. "Hello, young Master Tan. I'm Enjo Min. We met briefly once before. I was wondering if I might have the honor of being your friend?" Sycophancy was practically written all over Ngo-min's face. Seeing this, an evil idea instantly popped into Tan Than Nan's head. He told him that if Ngo-min wanted to be friends, he first had to do him a favor, make Mok Ly look like a complete fool in front of everyone. Hearing this, Ngo-min felt like he had just struck gold. He had no idea how Mok Ly had offended young Master Tone, but if bullying Mok Ly could get him in the good graces of someone as powerful as Tan Than Yan, then this was going to be an absolute breeze. A scheme immediately formed in his mind. Meanwhile, Mok Ly and Tujai Kai were hanging out by the buffet. You'd never guess this girl was a wealthy heiress, considering she wasn't a picky eater at all. She had already wolfed down several pastries in a row, completely discarding her elegant image. Mok Ly tried to tell Tujai Kai to slow down, but she kept stuffing her face as if she had just escaped a famine. "Mok Ly, come over here for a second." Suddenly, Mok Ly heard Ngo-min calling him. Turning around, he even saw him waving enthusiastically. Mok Ly knew damn well that this guy calling him over meant no good, but out of sheer curiosity, he wanted to see what the guy was plotting, so he walked on over. As he approached, he realized Tan Than Nan was there too. Before he could even do anything, the guy suddenly screamed, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you stealing my things?" After shouting at the top of his lungs, he fake collapsed onto the ground. Ngo-min caught him and immediately dialed up his own volume, screaming, "Mok Ly, what the hell is wrong with you? You stole his stuff and now you're assaulting him? Have you no shame?" Mok Ly was actually a bit stunned. He couldn't believe two grown men could come up with such a childish, pathetic frame-up. Thanks to their loud shouting, a crowd quickly gathered around to watch the drama unfold. This was exactly what those two bastards wanted. With everyone watching, Ngo-min started running his mouth, claiming that since high school, Mok Ly's character had been completely trash, and now that they were in college, he hadn't changed one bit. Seeing the commotion, Kwai Jiao quickly squeezed through the crowd and stood protectively in front of Mok Ly. "Everyone, there must be some mistake. Mok Ly would never do something like this." "Miss Kwai Jiao, you are way too naive. How could you see through a guy like him? Mok Ly, you stole young Master Tone's things at Kwai Jiao's birthday party. Is this how you repay her invitation?" Ngo-min's voice grew louder and louder, doing everything he could to draw as much attention as possible. Meanwhile, Tan Than Nan slithered up behind Mok Ly. Hiding a gold watch in his hand, he made a show of pulling it out of Mok Ly's pocket and began shouting again. "Look everyone, this is my watch. Why was it in his pocket? Mok Ly is definitely the thief. Do you seriously think I am brain dead? Or do you just think everyone else here is an idiot?" Mok Ly scoffed, then shoved Sun Chengren to the ground with a flick of his wrist. Seeing this, Sun Dafu rushed over in a panic and roared, "Who the hell are you? How dare you hit my son? After all, the sons are distinguished guests here." Sensing things were getting out of hand, Ji Yi quickly ran over to help Sun Chengren up, demanding that Mok Ly apologize to him. Sun Dafu took it even further. Refusing to let his son be humiliated, he demanded that Mok Ly get down on his knees and apologize, or else he would have him locked up for stealing his son's watch, which was worth a few $100,000. It is just a watch worth a few $100,000. Is all this drama really necessary? Sujiaki finally could not take it anymore and joined the chaotic crowd. The moment Sun Chengren saw her, his face went completely pale. He had no idea Sujiaki would be at this party. "The watch is right there on your wrist, and yet you have the nerve to call him a thief. Sun Chengren, do you want us to sue you for defamation?" Sujiaki threatened with her hands on her hips, then turned to Mok Ly and scolded him. "Why are you even wasting your breath on these people? Now I had to step in, and you are totally ruining my cake time. Listen here, little girl. Who do you think you are? Acting all high and mighty here." This time, Ji Yi shot back. He had no clue who Sujiaki actually was, since his only goal was to get his daughter close to wealthy heirs like Sun Chengren. "It is only natural you do not recognize me. Do you honestly think just anyone has the right to meet me?" Sujiaki replied, keeping her arrogant attitude. But she did not expect that while Ji Yi's ignorance was one thing, Sun Dafu would not recognize her either. He even ordered his men to throw her out. All her life, Sujiaki had been welcomed with open arms wherever she went, and she had certainly never been kicked out before. This new feeling was actually kind of exciting. The Ji family guards quickly surrounded Sujiaki. Mok Ly immediately pulled her behind him. He wanted to see if anyone would dare lay a finger on Sujiaki while he was standing right here. It was partly Master Su's fault for keeping his daughter so well protected. Since outsiders rarely got a glimpse of her, no one here recognized the young heiress of the Su family. Sun Chengren clearly knew she was the daughter of the Su family, but seeing that no one else recognized her, he pretended to be clueless and ordered the guards to charge and beat them up. But as the guards rushed forward, they suddenly felt a powerful aura swirling around Mok Ly. What on earth was this? Could he be a martial artist? Sun Chengren gasped in shock. Mok Ly used his actions to answer that question. Once the swirling aura settled, countless copies of Mok Ly appeared right in front of them. It was hard to tell if they were mere illusions or actual clones, but either way, the guards were all instantly wiped out. Watching from a distance, Sujiaki was absolutely thrilled. She shouted at Mok Ly to teach that old man's son a lesson too, just for failing to recognize her. Witnessing this, Sun Dafu was already breaking out in a cold sweat, but he still tried to act tough. I am the chairman of Sun Real Estate. Even if you are a martial artist, you cannot possibly. Before he could even finish, a crisp slap echoed through the room, cutting him off. Showing absolutely no respect for the man's age, Mok Ly slapped Sun Dafu so hard he knocked him out cold. Sun Chengren watched his own father get thrashed right before his eyes, but he could do nothing but stammer out weak threats to intimidate Mok Ly, which obviously had zero effect. Remember this well, Mok Ly said. Just because I stay quiet does not mean I am weak or easy to push around, and it certainly does not give you the right to insult me. Mok Ly, you are just a martial artist. Do not get too cocky. Mok Ly suddenly remembered one more person he had not dealt with yet, so he lunged forward, grabbed Sun Chengren by the head with one hand and Wu Ming with the other, and slammed them together. The brutal collision made them both see stars, knocking them out instantly. Seeing his daughter's birthday party turn into an absolute disaster, Ji Yi was sick with worry. He kept nagging Mok Ly to give Sun Dafu a proper apology, even promising that for Ji Jiao's sake, he would help beg for forgiveness. Clearly, Ji Yi was the most clueless person in the room right now. Ji Jiao tried to explain the situation, but he brushed her off completely. Right in the middle of this commotion, Su Wen and his men suddenly arrived. The guests were absolutely stunned to see someone of his stature show up at a birthday party for a young girl like Ji Jiao. Upon entering the banquet hall, Su Wen walked straight over to Mok Ly and respectfully bowed. Mr. Wuji, please forgive me for being late. What on earth happened here? Ji Yi could not hide his utter shock at how Su Wen treated Mok Ly. Even though he still had no idea who the young man really was, he now knew exactly which way the wind was blowing. When Sun Dafu finally woke up and saw Su Wen towering over him, he was terrified. But his panic only intensified when the elder Su spoke. Chairman's son, I hope you can show me some respect regarding today's incident. My daughter and her friend were simply playing around with your son. There is no need to make a big deal out of this, right? To Sun Dafu, those words sounded like a bolt from the blue. The girl he had just ordered security to throw out turned out to be Su Wen's daughter. To make matters worse, Mok Ly was actually their esteemed guest. Swallowing his pride, Sun Dafu dropped to his knees right in front of Mok Ly, begging for forgiveness for his sheer blindness. But Mok Ly had absolutely no interest in associating with trash like him, coldly telling the old man to get the hell away. Now that the truth was out, everyone realized Mok Ly wasn't a thief. The father and son duo were just playing victim to cover up their own crimes. And seeing how highly the powerful Su family respected someone so young, the girls in the banquet hall found him incredibly charming and rushed over, practically fighting to get his attention. Just as Mok Ly was getting completely swamped by the crowd of women, he heard Lin Yue calling out his name. Mr. Wuji, representatives from the Martial Alliance would like to meet you. Mok Ly silently thanked him for saving him from the awkward situation. But to be honest, this was the very first time he had ever heard of this so-called Martial Alliance. According to Lin Yue, they were a coalition of Huaxia martial artists that answered directly to the country's highest authority, handling anything and everything related to martial artists. And this time, they were here because of the group that had ambushed Sujiaki a few days ago. Lin Yue led him to a private room, and as the door opened, he saw about 5 or 6 people waiting inside. The only one sitting on the sofa was also the strongest cultivator in the room. This was Bai Shishan, the leader of the Martial Alliance's 2nd Division in Longshan City. Is he really Wuji? He is so young, yet he actually has the guts to challenge Feng Qi. Standing next to Bai Shishan was a slightly younger man. His arrogant smirk made it obvious he looked down on Mok Ly, which immediately rubbed Mok Ly the wrong way. Just say what you want and stop beating around the bush, Mu Ly said impatiently. We received word that Su Wen's daughter was being targeted, and we also heard that you, young man, are in charge of protecting Su Jiaki. So we just wanted to come by and introduce ourselves, Bai Shishan replied. Mu Ly simply muttered an "oh," then turned around to leave. Since we've said our hellos, I'll be taking my leave. To the others in the room, his dismissive attitude was a direct insult to Bai Shishan. This made the arrogant young man blow a fuse. If Leader Bai hadn't stepped in to stop him, a brutal fight would have broken out right then and there. Bai Shishan then revealed a crucial piece of information. The people hunting Su Jiaki were members of the notorious Hewan sect. He also warned Mu Ly that the Hewan sect possessed terrifying strength, so he shouldn't try to take them on all by himself. He even promised to have the Martial Alliance secretly guard Su Jiaki from the shadows. Fine by me, Mu Ly muttered before walking right out. Leader, that brat is way too arrogant. We should have beaten him to a pulp. The arrogant man was absolutely livid, like someone had stepped on his tail. Why waste your energy getting angry? Sooner or later, he's going to end up dead anyway. Bai Shishan smirked coldly. A kid like him doesn't stand a ghost of a chance against Feng Qi. After leaving the room, Mu Ly headed back to the banquet hall to find Qi Jiao. It had been way too chaotic earlier, and he hadn't even given her his birthday present yet. Qi Jiao took the box from Mu Ly, opening it to find a beautiful, glowing green jade inside. Mu Ly, this is far too precious. I can't accept this. It doesn't matter how expensive it is, Mu Ly replied. Just make sure you keep it on you at all times. In an emergency, it will keep you safe. He said this because he had infused the jade with the same protective magic as the bracelet he gave Su Jiaki. All right, I'll take it then, she smiled. But their intimate conversation didn't go unnoticed, as Su Jiaki was watching them from across the room. She couldn't help but pout in annoyance, though she couldn't tell if she was jealous or just mad that Mu Ly was using her family's jade to pick up other girls. Once the birthday party wrapped up, it was time for the masquerade ball. Out of respect for Qi Jiao, Mu Ly agreed to stay for the event. While everyone else wore simple masquerade masks, Su Jiaki had somehow found a giant bunny suit that covered her from head to toe, completely ruining her image as a refined young lady. After waiting for a while, Qi Jiao finally made her grand entrance. She wore a stunning dress with delicate wings on her back, looking exactly like a beautiful little fairy. Mu Ly was completely mesmerized. She truly was the one he had spent his entire past life crushing on. In this lifetime, she was just as breathtakingly beautiful as ever. Mu Ly, let's dance together, Qi Jiao suggested with a warm smile. Mu Ly wanted to decline since he had no idea how to dance, but Qi Jiao enthusiastically offered to teach him, so the two happily held hands and stepped onto the dance floor. But just as they were getting lost in the music, the lights in the room suddenly went completely dark. You might expect some romantic surprise, but instead, what shattered the silence was a blood-curdling scream from the young heiress, Su Jiaki. Who are you people? Let me go. Mu Ly, save me. Mu Ly immediately dashed toward the scream, leaving Qi Jiao behind. But the moment he left, two men closed in to kidnap Qi Jiao, scaring her half to death. However, just as their hands were about to grab her, the jade pendant Mu Ly had given her flared with a blinding, dazzling light. A powerful, solid barrier instantly formed around her body. Realizing they had bitten off more than they could chew, the two thugs immediately turned and fled. They had failed to kidnap Qi Jiao, but they still managed to haul their prize, Su Jiaki, back. The mastermind behind this kidnapping is none other than Hong Daoba, a branch leader of the Hewan sect. Just as the kidnappers are about to make their getaway, they are spotted by Bai Shishan. It seems these two sides have shared a bitter, deep-seated grudge for a long time. Neither side is willing to back down, both aching to completely wipe each other out. Right in the middle of their tense standoff, Mu Ly slowly strolls onto the scene. I don't care about your little feud, but either hand over Su Jiaki right now, or I'll personally teach you all some manners. It hasn't been long since Bai Shishan parted ways with Mu Ly, and now they meet again under these messy circumstances. However, because of his personal vendetta against Hong Daoba, he wants to handle this himself. So he tells Mu Ly to step aside. Fine, I'll give you exactly 1 minute, Mu Ly replies. With that, he steps aside and crosses his arms, looking completely impatient. The moment the words leave his mouth, Bai Shishan is already channeling energy into his hands. He charges straight at Hong Daoba, aiming to strike first. But to his dismay, the enemy easily deflects his attack. The two seem perfectly matched, trading blows for over a dozen rounds with neither gaining the upper hand. That is, until Hong Daoba suddenly pulls a hidden dagger from his back, driving it straight into the left side of Bai Shishan's chest. As an honorable martial artist, Leader Bai definitely didn't expect his opponent to pull such a dirty trick. But in a real fight, one mistake is all it takes, and the wound is very real. Just as Hong Daoba is about to deliver another strike to finish him off for good, he is suddenly kicked flying by Mok Ly. Your 1 minute is up, and he doesn't have the patience to watch them catch up on old times anymore. Seeing Hong Daoba left battered and bruised after just one move from Mok Ly, Bai Shishan can only gape in utter shock. Just moments ago, he was looking down on the kid, thinking he was cruising for a bruising. Now he realizes that Mok Ly's strength completely eclipses his own. Hong Daoba struggles to his feet, gritting his teeth in fury as he glares at Mok Ly. Who the hell is this guy? This is so frustrating. With that, he pops a strange pill into his mouth. Instantly, a bizarre transformation takes over Hong Daoba's body. Just like the Hulk, in the blink of an eye, he bulks up, becoming massive and many times stronger. Highly pleased with himself, he snarls. You really don't know your place. Now that I've taken the power-boosting pill from the Grandmaster, you pests are nothing but flies to me. But before he can even finish gloating, Hong Daoba sees Mok Ly vanish into thin air right before his eyes. By the time he reappears, he is already right in his face. Hong Daoba doesn't even have time to react. He gets slammed into the dirt by a devastating punch from Mok Ly. That fancy power-boosting pill is completely useless now, since he doesn't even have a chance to fight back. Watching this, Bai Shishan gets goosebumps all over from pure terror. Mok Ly is on a completely different level. He's way scarier than any monster. How could a top-tier master like this exist without him ever hearing about him before? But little did he know, while Mok Ly was busy fighting, the young lady Sujiaki had already been tied up and thrown into a getaway car. As she slowly regains consciousness, she hazily realizes she is in deep trouble. The car pulls over in a deserted area. The shameless Jing Tian stares at the gorgeous girl next to him, practically drooling. Man, this chick is absolutely stunning. I don't think I can hold myself back much longer. His advances make Jiaki scream in terror. Just as he pouts his lips to force a kiss on her, Wen Chang snaps. What's the big rush? She's the Grandmaster's prize. Once he is done with her, it'll be our turn to have some fun. Listening to them, Jiaki can only shed helpless tears, crying out in her mind. Damn it, Mok Ly. Where on earth are you right now? Suddenly, a bizarre wave of energy shoots right past the car. Jing Tian wonders, what the hell was that? Wen Chang scoffs. Are you so desperate for girls that you're losing your mind? There's absolutely nothing out there. But Jiaki recognizes that faint blue glow. She feels like she has seen it somewhere before. Sure enough, Mok Ly has arrived. He uses his power to lift the entire car off the ground in an instant, then drops it back down, giving the thugs inside the fright of their lives. Furious at this roadblock, Wen Chang kicks the door open and pulls out his gun, determined to teach Mok Ly a lesson. He unloads his weapon, yelling, I'm going to blow you to pieces. Little does he know, Mok Ly's speed is so insane that even bullets can't touch him. Realizing he's outmatched, Wen Chang tries a different tactic, shouting, don't forget, we still have the girl. He yanks the car door open and drags the dazed Jiaki out. Holding her hostage, he threatens him. Don't you dare take another step, or we'll toss her into the ocean to feed the sharks. Mok Ly narrows his eyes and challenges. Try me. Wen Chang isn't just bluffing either. He snaps back, you think I won't? And immediately drops Jiaki off the ledge into the water below. Well, then it's time for Mok Ly to teach him a lesson. He leaps forward and strikes Wen Chang hard on the back of his neck, sending the thug stumbling before he knocks out cold. Without wasting a single second, Mok Ly dives straight in after Jiaki. Luckily, he manages to catch her just before she hits the water. Channeling his inner energy, Mok Ly pulls Jiaki tightly into his arms. In her semi-conscious state, she feels an incredibly warm and comforting sensation in his embrace. Thanks to him, Jiaki is safely rescued and brought back to the Su family residence. Mok Ly asks Su Wen if there are any updates from his side. Su Wen shakes his head, explaining that all the captured assassins took poison to silence themselves. And that includes Hong Daoba. He was lost in thought, realizing his only lead had gone cold once again. But suddenly, Jiaki woke up and asked if he could come over for a second. Listening to her, Mok Ly walked over to check on her. Are you feeling any better? But to his surprise, Jiaki clenched her fists in anger, lunged at him, and screamed in frustration. You jerk, Mok Ly! I'm going to kill you! You absolute liar! You promised you'd protect me. Su Wen quickly scolded her. Mind your manners. If it wasn't for Mr. Wuji, you'd be dead by now. Unlike his usual cold self, Mok Ly gently apologized. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I promise I will protect you next time. Hearing that, Jiaki froze in shock. What was wrong with this blockhead today? Mok Ly then politely asked. Now, can you please get off me? Blushing with embarrassment, she quickly scrambled off him and sat as quietly as a good little puppy. Suddenly, Su Wen cleared his throat. Mr. Wuji, the master wishes to see you. In the living room of the Su mansion, Qingren and his father bowed deeply to apologize to Mok Ly, Mr. Wuji, about what happened before. My son and I were blind fools. You are incredibly generous not to hold it against us, but please accept this small token of our appreciation. He glanced at the $10 million check and casually replied, leave it there. But if you ever try to get close to my sister again, I won't show any mercy. Qingren cowered. We wouldn't dare. We wouldn't dare. Mok Ly figured that Feng Shi was already making his move. Looking out the window, he decided to head to an internet cafe to dig up more information. As he logged onto the global black market forum, he thought to himself, it seems Feng Shi is ready to launch his plan now that he's back. Sure enough, Feng Shi had already posted an announcement about his return from overseas. His next target was Su Wen's precious daughter, Jiaki. In the comments below, users were already buzzing, sighing over the beautiful heiress of the Su family, doomed to a tragic fate. In a small place like Longshan, if Feng Shi wants someone dead, is there anyone who can stop him? What about Wuji? Winning a $20 million bounty must take some serious skills. But Wuji is just a rising nobody. Even if he's got some skills, so what? Look at who Feng Shi is. Even if this Wuji guy is actually strong, is he really a match for Feng Shi? Mok Ly thought for a moment, then logged into his Wuji account and posted, who the hell does Feng Shi think he is? He's nothing but trash. I, Wuji, have trained in martial arts since childhood, and am a once-in-a-thousand-years prodigy. Feng Shi is just a brainless butcher. He's absolutely nothing to me. Today, I'm setting up a bet. Bet on me to win and get a 10-to-1 payout, or bet on Feng Shi at 1-to-1. With a $10 million pool from the host, who are you betting on, Wuji or Feng Shi? The news quickly reached the Su family. Has Mr. Wuji really started a public challenge on the forum? Lin Yue confirmed it with Su Wen. Yes, it even caught Feng Shi's attention, and Wuji put up $10 million on himself. Hearing this, Su Wen immediately ordered his men to bet another $20 million on Mr. Wuji. Meanwhile, in a beautiful, scenic garden, Jiaki was whining. I don't care. I want to go out and play. Suddenly, the phone in Mok Ly's hand buzzed with a notification. User Xiangtian Zuokuiji just bet $200,000 on Feng Shi with the comment, Go Feng Shi. Crush that Wuji loser. User Mighty Cucumber just bet $100,000 on Feng Shi with the comment, Teach that idiot Wuji a lesson, Feng Shi. But those bets were peanuts compared to what came next, as the Su group successfully placed a whopping $20 million bet on Wuji. Mok Ly couldn't help but burst out laughing. Seeing him ignore her, Jiachi pouted in annoyance. Mok Ly, how dare you ignore me? Just as she was about to teach him a lesson, he immediately raised his hands in surrender. I'm listening. I'm listening. But Mok Ly seemed to be waiting for something else, impatiently wondering to himself, is he here yet? Seeing him space out again, Jiachi asked, What are you even looking at? Are you coming with me or not? She happily skipped around the garden, singing to herself, I want to find my Romeo who saved me last time. Even though I couldn't see his face, his embrace was so warm, and he could actually fly. He's literally the most handsome guy in the universe. But Mok Ly's expression suddenly turned dead serious. He grabbed her arm, pulling her inside as he warned, No, you can't. I feel a strong murderous intent approaching. Feng Shi must be nearby. But she kept talking, Are you losing your mind? If my hero was here right now, he'd blow you away with a single punch. Mok Ly ignored her and gently slipped a jade bracelet onto her wrist, but she immediately complained about how ugly it was. I'm not wearing this. Mok Ly had no choice but to unleash his overwhelming aura to silence the stubborn young lady. You must wear it. Promise me you'll stop being so stubborn, okay? This is to keep you safe. Their sudden closeness made her face turn bright red, and she mumbled shyly, Okay, fine. 4 hours later, while Jiaki lay down, cheerfully singing, Love is a light, so beautiful it makes me anxious, leading us to our future, Mok Ly had to work himself to the bone on guard duty. He wondered why the killer hadn't made a move yet, surprised by how cautious he was. Is it because I'm by her side? Fine, let me give him a little push. Mu Ly immediately called out, "Jiaki, I think I see a little white rabbit." The naive girl jumped up excitedly. "Really? Where is it?" Mu Ly said, "It's out there by the flower bed, probably still there." Unable to contain her excitement, she rushed out as fast as her legs could carry her to find the little rabbit. Jiaki ran 49 laps around the yard, calling out, "Little bunny, come on out, I've got a carrot for you." Yet, Feng Shi still hadn't taken the bait. She kept running around the yard, chanting, "Come out, little bunny, I've got a carrot for you." But as Feng Shi hesitated to strike, suddenly, a strange gust of wind blows by. Sensing something unusual, Jiaqi looks over to satisfy her curiosity. Meanwhile, Mu Ly has already detected his prey. The action begins. He easily blocks the assassin's very first strike. But when that Feng Chi guy delivers his second, Ting's target, screaming, go to hell, he finally realized. Feng Chi unleashes his move, thrusting forward with his glacial piercer. But before he can even land it, Mu Ly punches him right in the face, sending him flying. He rolls 3 or 4 times across the ground, groaning to himself, "Damn it. A failed ambush is going to be trouble." Mu Ly mocks him with a sarcastic compliment. "Not a bad sneak attack, but your skills are still light years behind mine." Feng Chi pulls a grenade from his pocket and thinks, "My only choice is to use a smoke bomb." After an explosion and a massive cloud of thick smoke, he thinks he can make a clean break. But to his utter shock, Mu Ly is hot on his heels. Feng Chi panics, asking himself, how is this even possible? He is just a martial artist. How can he move this fast? To make matters worse, with just a few basic moves, Mu Ly is about to catch Feng Chi red-handed. Having no other choice, he plays his last card, screaming, "You forced my hand!" As soon as Mu Ly lands, the guy is gone. Staring at the lake in front of him, he mutters, "Wow," he vanished fast. 30 minutes later, Feng Chi is practically ready to sleep at the bottom of the lake. He probably thinks he has successfully escaped, but if he stays down there any longer, he is actually going to drown. But the second he surfaces, he hears a voice complimenting him. "Not bad. You can hold your breath for a really long time. You must have gone through some brutal training, huh?" Shocked to see Mu Ly still waiting for him, he gasps, "What?" The next day, the entire internet cafe is thrown into an absolute frenzy. Everyone who bet on Feng Chi screams, "How is this possible? I just lost my entire life savings." Passersby whisper to each other, "Another idiot losing his mind over gambling. Just ignore him and keep moving." On the latest news page of the Era forum, a short update is posted. On the night of April 23rd, 2031, Feng Chi's assassination attempt failed. Wu Ji emerges victorious. Before this, on October 20th, 2022, Feng Chi successfully assassinated the top-tier martial artist Zhang Er, instantly shooting to fame. On October 20th, 2023, Feng Chi successfully assassinated Yu of the Yu family, earning a bounty of 10 million. On October 20th, 2024, Feng Chi successfully assassinated the top-tier martial artist Wu earning a bounty of 30 million. On April 23rd, 2031, Feng Chi faced Wu Ji, was utterly defeated, and died at his hands. His body has been pulled from the Long Mian River. Readers are completely losing their minds over this rising star. "Feng Chi, you absolute piece of garbage. You ruined my youth, my sanity, and all my money. I bet this Wu Ji guy did this on purpose. Didn't he buy off Feng Chi just to mess with us? If that's true, didn't he just make a fortune? That is so incredibly devious." The guy who bet on Feng Chi scratches his head in frustration, thinking that if that's the case, this Wu Ji guy is truly a sinister mastermind. Flashing back to the previous night, Feng Chi was completely shocked by Mu Ly's incredible skills, stammering, You can walk on water?" He was desperately thinking to himself, "How am I supposed to win against this?" Meanwhile, Mu Ly praised him, saying, "You do a great job hiding your energy." Feng Chi quickly changes his tune. "Want me to teach you? Just pull me out first." "This water is freezing." Mu Ly agrees to pull him out, but the moment he gets him halfway up, a sinister grin spreads across Feng Chi's face. He whips a dagger out from his sleeve, grips it tight, and lunges straight at Mu Ly, screaming, "Die!" He never expected Mu Ly to block his strike with just a single finger, calmly remarking, "You want to kill me? You are not even close to my level." Realizing he is completely outmatched, Feng Chi kicks off and leaps high into the air, cursing furiously in his head. How is this even possible? In a flash, Mu Ly hurls the dagger, taking Feng Chi down in a single strike. His lifeless body falls into the water with a heavy splash. As Mu Ly walks away with a cold expression, his phone buzzes with a notification. He checks it to see a message from Mu Xin. "Hey, when are you coming home?" Mom says, "She misses you." After reading it, Mu Ly smiles and thinks to himself, "Just wait for me. This time, I won't let our family suffer anymore." On the subway that morning, he decides to return home in triumph, looking at the black card in his hand. This was the card Jia Qi had handed him earlier. "Mu Ly, here's your payout from the forum. It's exactly 500 million. Hurry back after you visit home, okay? You still have to help me find that mysterious hero from last time." He can't help but chuckle. If she ever finds out that the big hero she is looking for is actually me, yeah, let's keep that a secret. Otherwise, she'll probably annoy me to death. A moment later, the intercom crackles to life, announcing that the train has reached its final destination. Noticing the girl next to him is still fast asleep, he gently nudges her. "Hey, wake up. It's the final stop. Everyone else has already left." Outside the station, a group of thugs waiting around are muttering among themselves. "Still no sign of the Yu family girl? Still nothing." The boss snaps. "A bunch of useless idiots. I guess I have to handle this myself." They approach Mu Ly. The fierce-looking leader sneers. "Look what we have here. Found her." He speaks with a cold, menacing tone. "Yu Zhaotong, we meet again. Hand over the resuscitation serum, created by the master pharmacist, and we might just let you live." A girl named Xiao Tong turned to Mu Ly and said, "Get out of here. It's too dangerous." Wu Heng, furious at being completely ignored, barked, "How dare you whisper to each other right in front of me?" Xiao Tong quickly grabbed Mu Ly's hand and bolted. Wu Heng declared, "None of you are getting out of here today. Get them. That brat might have the resuscitation elixir on him." Xiao Tong told him, "I'll hold off Wu Heng. Use the chaos to escape. I don't want an innocent person losing their life because of me." But Wu Heng was already on their heels. Unleashing a claw-like aura, he sneered, "You'd better start worrying about your own skin first." Instinctively, she pushed Mu Ly aside, summoned her protective shield, and yelled, "I won't let you have your way." However, her power was no match for his brute strength. Seeing her shield shatter into pieces, Wu Heng smirked even harder. The young genius of the Yu family certainly lives up to her name. Too bad for you. Crossing paths with Wu Heng means only one thing: death. Without a shred of mercy, he delivered a brutal gut punch to her. Mu Ly watched the whole thing unfold, remaining completely silent. Wu Heng snatched the elixir from her and mocked. "They say the resuscitation elixir can bring back the dead. Too bad your old man won't live to see it." Crushed by Wu Heng's overwhelming power, Xiao Tong blamed herself, thinking, "Grandpa, I'm so sorry. I was too weak." Wu Heng then turned his arrogant gaze toward Mu Ly, demanding, "Hey kid, did I say you could leave?" Xiao Tong quickly warned him out of kindness. "Run, now. An ordinary person like you can't survive his eagle claw fist." Unfortunately, Wu Heng's lackeys blocked Mu Ly's path, shouting, "You think you can run? Die." But without even breaking a sweat, he effortlessly tossed them aside, muttering in disgust. Nothing but a bunch of annoying flies. Wu Heng was shocked to see Mu Ly single-handedly take down 4 or 5 of his men at once. Stunned, he decided to step in and teach the brat a lesson himself. But with just a single punch, Mu Ly completely obliterated Wu Heng. The devastating impact sent him flying from one end of the train car to the other, accompanied by the loud crashing of shattered glass. Coughing up mouthfuls of blood from his severe injuries, Wu Heng stammered, Are you a martial venerable?" In the entire Jinhu province, the only martial venerable is Lu Wusheng of Mount Long. But at your age, could you be Huang Fuyun, the genius who is about to break through to the martial venerable realm? Mu Ly simply replied in a cold tone, "Never heard of him." He then turned to Xiaotong and asked, "Are you okay, girl?" She nodded, "I'm fine." Trembling, Wu Heng immediately handed back the resuscitation elixir and begged for mercy. "I was blind to your greatness. Please forgive me, sir." Once Wu Heng was dealt with, she asked hesitantly, "The resuscitation elixir is incredibly important to me. Could I have it back, please?" Handing it over, he remarked, "If this thing is so precious to you, why on earth would you keep it in such a fragile glass tube? What if it breaks?" But before he could even finish his sentence, the vial slipped from their hands, crashed to the floor, and shattered completely. Both of them stared in sheer horror at the broken glass. Devastated, Xiaotong threw herself onto the floor, desperately grabbing Mu Ly's leg and demanding he replace the resuscitation elixir. She thought to herself, "Since it's come to this, I have no choice but to use the seduction tactics my brother taught me, and my looks are my ultimate weapon. Putting her plan into action, Xiaotong quickly adjusted her expression, putting on her most fragile, helpless look. What am I going to do? The resuscitation elixir was the only thing that could save my grandfather. Mok Ly casually replied, "Don't worry about it. I'll make it up to you." Seizing the opportunity, Xiaotong immediately locked arms with him and cheered, "That's wonderful, thank you so much." In her head, she was celebrating. My brother's advice actually worked. I just found myself a lifesaver. But she didn't realize who was really playing whom, as Mok Ly glanced at her and thought, "Wow, she's really overacting." As they stepped out of the station, someone was already waiting for them. Xiaotong called out, "Over here." That was Yu Xiaoxiang, 27 years old, Xiaotong's older brother. He looked curiously at the young man walking alongside his sister. Embarrassed, Xiaotong replied, "Let's talk in the car, brother." An awkward silence filled the air, as no one said another word. Trying to break the ice, Xiaoxiang asked, "Hey, did you manage to get the resuscitation elixir?" Realizing she couldn't hide it any longer, Xiaotong stammered, "Well, it's a long story." Xiaoxiang gasped in absolute shock. "What? The resuscitation elixir is broken?" The BMW swerved wildly from the sudden shock, causing Xiaotong to scream, "Watch the road, drive carefully." Soon, they arrived at the Yu family residence. Just then, two of the top medical experts walked out, shaking their heads as they spoke to the siblings. The elder Master Yu is truly at his end. Hearing this, tears welled up in Xiaotong's eyes as she dashed into the house. Outside, Xiaoxiang buried his face in his hands, filled with agony and regret. What do we do now? The resuscitation elixir is gone. Xiaotong burst into the room, throwing the door open and crying out, "Grandpa!" Seeing her return, Yufeng was overcome with relief. "Thank goodness, you're back, Xiaotong. My dear, I heard from your brother over the phone that something went wrong with the resuscitation elixir." When she choked out, "I'm sorry," the second master of the Yu family, Yufeng's younger brother, immediately piped up, "I told you we shouldn't have sent Xiaotong. And what was with all that top-secret nonsense anyway? Sending her alone to the imperial capital to get the medicine, and now it's gone. How are we supposed to save the elder master now?" Ignoring his harsh words, Xiaotong spoke up, "Everyone, please. I actually brought back a master who might still be able to save Grandpa." Hearing this, Yufeng gasped in surprise. "That is fantastic. Hurry and bring everyone to meet this gentleman." She pointed toward the door and introduced him as Mr. Mu, but seeing Mok Ly's youthful appearance, Lao Er burst out laughing. "You Xiaotong, are you out of your mind? You just dragged some random brat off the street to treat grandfather? Yufeng, are you treating the old master's life like a joke? If anything goes wrong, can you even take responsibility?" Yufeng also felt that this young man did not look very reliable. Why would Xiaotong do something like this? Without saying a word, Mok Ly walked up to the sickbed and used a special technique to check the old man's condition, leaving everyone in the room completely dumbfounded. He concluded that blocked meridians from internal injuries were obstructing his circulation. Lao Er snarled, "Who gave you permission to touch my father?" But instant karma hit him fast, and he was sent flying straight into the wall, knocked out cold on the spot. Everyone in the house was utterly shocked to witness this. Lao Er was the strongest martial artist in the Yu family, so this young man was clearly no ordinary person. Yufeng cupped his hands respectfully, asking him for help. "Excuse me, Mr. Mu. How can we treat the old master's illness?" This immediately drew a strong objection from Dr. Zheng Ba. "This is absolutely preposterous. I have never seen anyone diagnose a pulse with just their mouth. If you have chosen another doctor, I will take my leave. But let me warn you, the old master's illness has already seeped into his very bones. At this point, even the resurrection elixir would not be able to turn things around." These words left Yufeng lost in thought, uncertain of whether he should trust this young man. Xiaotong also expressed her concern. "Mr. Mu, is my grandfather really beyond saving?" He replied, "It is just a minor internal injury." Hearing that, she let out a sigh of relief. But when Mok Ly added that he just needed to beat him up, everyone gasped. "What did you say?" Yufeng asked in confusion. "A beating? Mr. Mu, how has our Yu family offended you?" Xiaotong did not quite understand Mok Ly's intention either, so he explained that this was actually the simplest method. While Mok Ly was busy treating the old man, Lao Er woke up. He ran over, ranting, "You little brat, how dare you hit me, without my permission." Before he could even finish his sentence, he was hit with another kick from Mok Ly. The overwhelming force left him wondering, what kind of monstrous strength is this? Mok Ly said nothing, quietly pulling off the old man's blanket. Then, the heavy sounds of punching and kicking echoed throughout the entire house. Watching her grandfather undergo such a painful and bizarre treatment, Xiaotong felt her heart ache. Grandpa, I am so sorry. Did I choose the wrong person? Mok Ly continued to unleash palm strikes onto the old master's body, hitting him repeatedly from head to toe. Everyone found this method bizarre, but no one dared to interfere. Finally, the most unfortunate old man in the world was tossed back onto the bed with a thud. Mok Ly did not stop there. He flipped the old master over on his stomach and gave him another round of treatment. Finally, Mok Ly finished the session. Seeing the old man lying completely motionless, Lao Er began to rant again. Oh, Yu Feng, look what you have done. You have killed the old master. This is high treason. Hurry up and hand over the title of family head. Suddenly, Xiaotong cried out in joy. He is awake. Grandfather is actually awake. The old man sat up, coughing a few times. Lao Er asked, Dad, how are you feeling? The old man replied, I feel great. I have never felt this refreshed in my entire life. My internal injuries. They are completely healed. I am perfectly fine. Mok Ly then said his goodbyes. Your meridians are cleared. Your cultivation realm has also advanced. Since everything is settled, I will take my leave. To repay this immense favor, Yu Feng offered, Mr. Mu, having you save us is the greatest honor for our Yu family. If you ever need anything in the future, the Yu family will do whatever it takes to help. He thought for a moment and said, Oh, right. Do you happen to have any ancient herbs? Preferably at least 100 years old? Yu Feng replied, Herbs that are 100 years old are extremely rare. Finding them is like looking for a needle in a haystack. We used up the last of them when the old master was bedridden, but since you are asking, Mr. Mu, we will do our absolute best to search for them. He excused himself, saying he had personal matters to attend to. The old man told Mr. Mu to take his time and that they would keep in touch. Hello? Driver? Make sure you take Mr. Mu back safely. After this incident, Xiaotong developed a deep fondness for Mok Ly. Finally, he was on his way home. Sitting in the car, Mok Ly thought to himself, In my past life, my mother suffered her whole life for me, only to be murdered by schemers in the end. In this life, I will make sure you live in a grand mansion, filled with absolute happiness and peace. Mushin was taking out the trash when she heard someone call her name. Spotting her older brother returning, she cried out in joy, Brother! Brother! You are finally back. Inside their small home, it had been a very long time since the three of them had shared a meal together. Chen Yuan placed some food in her son's bowl and said, Xiao Li, eat more. You are still growing, after all. Xiao Li, living on your own, if you ever run out of money, just let me know. Do not try to act tough. He said nothing, his eyes fixed on the burn scar on his mother's hand. It was a day from over 10 years ago. An 8-year-old Mok Ly was helping his mother cook dinner. Looking at the mouth-watering pot of soup, he said, It is finally done. Now we just need to bring it out. But Mok Ly was still too small, so he could not lift the heavy pot at all, running such a high fever. Right then, even though Tran Vien was running a high fever, she still forced herself up, blaming herself for accidentally falling asleep. I have to go make dinner. But as soon as she walked into the kitchen, she saw her son struggling with a pot of hot soup, about to fall over at any second. Terrified, she screamed in panic, Tu Li, oh my God, you're about to fall with that hot soup. She rushed over as fast as she could to catch him, but it was too late. With a loud crash, the soup pot flew out of Tu Li's hands and spilled all over the floor. Instead of blaming her son, Tran Vien gently asked, Tu Li, you're not hurt anywhere, are you? Mok Ly, with tears welling up in his eyes, replied, Mom, I'm fine. But your hand. Only then did Tran Vien notice her own arm, which had blistered from trying to protect her son. She comforted him, It's nothing. A quick soak in cold water, and it'll be fine. Back in reality, Mok Ly was washing the dishes while beating himself up. I'm sorry for always getting you hurt. I'm sorry for being such a useless loser in my past life. I'm sorry for failing to protect you back then. So this time, he gathered his courage to apologize to his mother. But Tran Vien only smiled gently and asked, What is my silly boy talking about? Mok Ly told her that he had made some money and would use it to pay off their debts tomorrow. And then, let's go buy a house, Mom. She firmly refused, saying, Making money isn't easy. Don't just throw it away like that. Mok Ly just looked at her tenderly and said, Mom, I want you to have a better life. This made Tran Vian think to herself, "Honey, our Tu Lai has really grown up and become so mature." Seeing Mok Ly's complete 180-degree change in attitude, she didn't refuse anymore. "All right, I'll do whatever you say, Tu Li." The next day, Mok Ly showed up early to check out some houses. He thought to himself, the environment here is great. The prices aren't too high either, so Mom probably won't complain about it being too expensive. At that moment, a luxury car pulled up. Onlookers gasped at the Ferrari F12 TDF, whispering, "Rich people really are something else." A girl named Chu Mi stepped out of the car. In a whiny, sweet voice, she said, "Babe, this building doesn't look bad at all." The man with her was Chu Van Dat, 35 years old. He was the product manager of Hong Hai Company. With a voice that was 30% doting and 70% flattering, he replied, "Baby, as long as you like it, that's all that matters." Seeing them together, some nearby bystanders couldn't help but gossip. "Look at that. Even a fat, ugly guy like him has such a pretty girlfriend. Well, he's got money." Chu Mi glared at them and said with sheer contempt, "What a bunch of trash." Inside, a sales representative was pitching to Mok Ly. "Our company has expanded its investment to develop this prime location at the Jiangtan Gardens. The environment is just as premium as any 4-star resort. Plus, it has incredibly convenient transportation. Our residential buildings have received an incredible response. Even before the grand opening, a ton of units were already pre-booked. Now, there are barely any units left." Mok Ly told the saleswoman. "Go on. I want to buy a front-facing unit, preferably facing the Longmian River. Good lighting is key, and money is not an issue." Suddenly, Chu Mi recognized a familiar face. She lowered her sunglasses and called out to Mok Ly. He didn't recognize her at first and asked who she was, so she took off her sunglasses completely to jog his memory. "It's me, Chu Mi, the girl you used to follow around in middle school, calling me your pretty big sister. You're buying a house here? Isn't your family dirt poor? This place is super expensive. You probably can't even afford a single door." Only then did Mok Ly recognize her. Ah, so it was her. Back in the day, Chu Mi had manipulated him into taking all of his family's money to buy her snacks and movie tickets. But behind his back, she would tell everyone how hilarious Mok Ly was, doing whatever she asked like a loyal little dog. He wondered to himself, how did she end up looking like this? Plastic surgery? Meanwhile, Chu Mi said to the sales rep, "Excuse me, we'll take this house." But Mok Ly quickly whipped out his black card to flex, saying, "I already bought this house." Thus, the sales rep could only inform Chu Mi, "I'm terribly sorry, but this building has only one unit left." And this gentleman looked at it first. "Why don't the two of you check out the remaining units? The conditions are also great, not inferior at all, compared to the front-facing one." Failing to get what she wanted, Chu Mi started belittling him again. "Don't believe a word he says. I was his middle school classmate. I know him inside out. His family is dirt poor. There's no way he has that kind of money. But we're different. We can put down a 50% down payment right now. Why don't you try his card and see?" Mok Ly decided to let the sales rep swipe his card right in front of them. The moment the card was swiped, the machine beeped to indicate it was invalid. The sales rep awkwardly turned to Mok Ly and said, "The transaction failed. Sir, could there be an issue with your PIN?" Seeing this, Chu Mi became even more smug and arrogant. "I told you so. He's just putting on a show. How could he possibly have that much money?" Mok Ly figured it might be a bank error. "Let me just transfer the funds on my phone instead." Sure enough, the transfer of 5 million yuan went through successfully. The sales rep announced that the transfer was successful. "Congratulations, sir. You are now our newest homeowner." Chu Mi was furious, wondering, how did that poor loser suddenly get so rich? She turned to whine to her man, "Babe, I don't care. I want this house." Swayed by the young girl's charm, Chu Dat said, "Whatever my mirror wants, we buy it." With that, he called the sales manager, Manager Vuong. Over. He ran over obsequiously and replied, "President Chu, what brings you here today?" He showed up without saying a word to me beforehand. He explained that he just wanted to buy a house and didn't want to bother you. But your subordinate didn't know his place, so I had no choice. Fearing he would lose a VIP customer, the manager replied. "Of course there is a way. How could there be no other way?" Chu Dat said with a subtle hint. "Then I'll have to trouble you." The manager then walked over to Mok Ly. "Young man, let's negotiate a bit. If you give up this house, we will arrange another one for you. We can also give you a 20% discount. How about that?" But he shook his head vigorously in refusal. prompting the manager to raise his voice offensively. Young man, don't do this the hard way. You need to understand one thing clearly. This building belongs to the Du family real estate. The Beizhou Du family, have you heard of them? We don't have to sell a single house to you. Just then, Hu Hung and a few assistants walked by. Send me the meeting materials in a bit. Yes, President Du. He was saying that the situation with our Jiangtan garden building is looking very good. Suddenly, glancing over at the two people raising their voices, he immediately recognized Mr. Mok. Meanwhile, the manager was still threatening him. Out of respect for the Du family, you must give up this apartment. Hu Hung took the initiative to speak first. Mr. Mok, I didn't expect to run into you here. This is wonderful. He then walked over to shake his hand, looking very polite. Mr. Mok, my name is Du Hu Hung. We met briefly last time when you and Hu Dong were leaving the train station. I was driving, so you probably don't remember me much. Seeing this, Chu Dot was completely bewildered. Can anyone tell me why young Master Du is being so respectful to him? Since he happened to meet someone he knew, Mok Ly made a request. I remember you now. Could you do me a favor and settle this matter? I wanted to buy a Riverview house, but I ran into some trouble. Hearing this, Hu Hung's face darkened, and he yelled, What on earth is going on? Who dares to disrespect the benefactor of the Du family? Fearing he would be dragged into the mess, the manager quickly confessed. President Chu told me to do it. Left with no choice, Chu Dat stepped forward to apologize. President Du, Mr. Mok, I was blind. I failed to recognize your greatness. I sincerely beg for your forgiveness. I deserve to die. It's all my fault. Hu Hung declared, Chu Van Dat, from now on, you are permanently banned from setting foot on any Du family property, or else you will suffer the consequences. Chu Dat could only leave with his tail between his legs. Chu Mi followed closely behind, asking in confusion, What's going on? Isn't he just that poor idiot from the Mok family? I still clearly remember how pathetic and poor he was. Back then, with just a few tricks, he would obediently wag his tail and follow orders. Suddenly, he turned around and slapped her hard across the face. You useless, stupid woman. This is all because you brought this trouble upon us. Then, he clutched his head in despair and lamented, It's over. Offending the Du family means my life is completely ruined. Inside, Hu Hung was still repeatedly apologizing. Mr. Mok, I'm so sorry. We always consider you our savior. I never expected this. Mok Ly put his hand on his shoulder and replied, Forget it. I don't plan on holding a grudge. A day later, his entire family had moved into their new home. Tran Vien looked at the luxurious, magnificent house and gasped, Tu Li, this house must have been incredibly expensive, right? He reassured her, Mom, it's fine. I can handle things on my own now. Suddenly, a guy popped out of nowhere to greet everyone. He introduced himself. I'm Tran Long, your neighbor from across the hall. I look forward to getting along with you all. He paid special attention to Mok Han. Hey there, have we met somewhere before? Why do you look so familiar? Annoyed, Mok Ly called Tran Long over. Curious, he asked. Hey bro, is there something wrong? To which Mok Ly warned, If you dare get close to my sister again, I'll beat you to death. By the way, did you get that black eye from trying to pick up another girl? Hearing this, Tran Long acted all mysterious. Listen bro, since you guys have already moved in, I don't mind filling you in on the situation here. Once Mok Ly gave him the green light to speak, he leaned close to Mok Ly's ear and whispered, This place is haunted, Tran Long explained. The very first day I moved in, I felt something was off. I kept getting chills down my spine, as if some creepy cold wind was blowing right on me. That night, there was a massive storm outside with heavy rain and thunder. As I was lying in bed, a woman suddenly wrapped her arms around me. She was shivering and saying she was scared, which scared the living daylights out of me. Since I lived all by myself, I screamed and kicked her right off the bed. I grabbed the bedside lamp and just started whacking her repeatedly. After that, I couldn't even remember what happened next. Knowing Tran Long was downplaying the story to avoid telling the rest, Mok Ly saw right through him and intentionally prodded, You don't remember? So Tran Long confessed. Then, the next day, she brought a whole gang of guys to beat me up, demanding double the service fee and medical bills. Mok Ly couldn't stand listening to this nonsense and smacked him hard on the head, saying, My guy, were you so drunk that you were completely tripping? Tran Long hurriedly explained. Wait, I haven't even finished yet. The night after I got beaten up, I was woken up by a tapping sound on my window. When I got up to check, I saw a female ghost with long black hair and a white dress screaming miserably. She kept crying out, "Let me in!" After that, all kinds of bizarre things started happening, like the bedside lamp suddenly turning off, the faucet turning on by itself, and a cold breeze blowing right against my ear. To make matters worse, it even smelled like garlic, so I had no choice but to sell this room. Mok Ly realized that if he didn't resolve this issue, it would eventually affect his mother and Mu Xin. So he decided to tell Chen Long, "Hey buddy, how about you stay at a hotel tonight? Just give me your keys. I'll stay at your place, and I guarantee everything will be completely peaceful by tomorrow. No one will ever bother you again." Hearing this, Chen Long quickly pulled out his keys and handed them to Mok Ly, saying excitedly, "Really? That is amazing. I've finally found my savior." Late that night at Chen Long's house, Mok Ly did his best to stay awake. With his professional senses, he could tell the female ghost had arrived. Sure enough, in the blink of an eye, her chilling aura filled the entire room. Mok Ly proactively spoke to her. "Hello, it's the middle of the night. What exactly do you want?" The ghost, looking gloomy, replied, "My legs, they're gone." Just then, a freezing cold wind blew through the window. She asked, "Can you give me yours?" Mok Ly remained completely calm and asked, "Why should I give them to you? Do you even have shoes to wear?" It was the first time Xiaobai had met someone who wasn't afraid of her, and she froze completely. The room fell into a strange, dead silence. Mok Ly calmly lay back down on the bed and said, "If that's all, I'm going back to sleep." Xiaobai immediately went into attack mode, shouting, "If you won't give them to me, I'll just take them." She then lunged at Mok Ly. But after a quick scuffle, Xiaobai ended up with a huge bump on her head. Rubbing her head in pain, she cried out, "What is wrong with you? Who beats up a ghost? And you hit so hard, I'm going to bite you to death." Mok Ly simply grabbed her hand and pressed a burst of spiritual energy into her forehead. Instantly, Xiaobai was restored to her true form as a beautiful girl with her hair neatly tied up, looking completely harmless. Feeling utterly embarrassed, she asked, "Why aren't you afraid of me?" Mok Ly casually replied, "What's there to be afraid of? Besides, you don't seem like an evil spirit. Why are you running around scaring people? What's your name? And where are you from?" Xiaobai refused to cooperate, turning her face away as she snapped, "Why should I tell you anything?" But the moment she saw Mok Ly raise his hand to strike her again, she spilled everything. "My name is Zhang Xiaobai. 2 years ago, I was a freshman at Bijou University. This place wasn't built yet. It was just an abandoned construction site. One day, I took a shortcut through here and accidentally fell into a hole, breaking both of my legs. There was no one around to help. I just lay there, clinging to life until nightfall, when I finally passed away." Mok Ly fell silent for a moment, then asked what she was thinking about before she died, or if there was anything she had left unfinished. Choking back tears, Xiaobai explained, "When I was a kid, my parents fought constantly before getting a divorce. My mom took my older sister and left, while I was forced to stay with my dad. He was a severe alcoholic and gambler, and he constantly beat and abused me. Back then, my sister would sneak over to visit me and bring me delicious food. Then, when I was in middle school, my dad got drunk, fell into a lake, and drowned. My mom couldn't afford to take me in, so my sister dropped out of school to work part-time just so I could keep studying. She is the best sister in the world. Before I died, I was so incredibly anxious. I didn't want to die yet. She worked so hard just to get me into Bijou University. I hadn't even gotten a chance to repay her or give her a better life. How could I die? I couldn't just die like that. The moment I became a ghost, I wanted to fly straight to her side to see how she was doing, but I couldn't go very far. My soul felt like it was dissipating, so I could only linger around this area, unable to leave. I just wanted to see her one last time." Hearing her tragic story, Mok Ly felt deeply sorry for the poor girl. He spoke gently, "I have a way to help you leave this place." Startled, she asked, "Are you serious? Can you really get me out of here?" Xiaobai's eyes filled with a longing she had held onto for so long. Mok Ly explained, "On planet Ziwei, in the cultivation world, cultivators who have fallen can either possess another body or use heavenly treasures to reconstruct their physical form and continue their cultivation. However, there is another way, giving up the physical body entirely and only cultivating the soul. Those cultivators are known as ghost cultivators. Not only can I help you leave this place, but I can also help you achieve rebirth." Tears welled up in Xiaobai's eyes as she promised, "If you can save me, I am willing to serve you forever, no matter what it takes." Mok Ly explained that her soul was currently extremely unstable. At any moment, her consciousness could fragment and eventually fade away forever. "I have a special cultivation technique. Once you master it, your soul will grow incredibly strong, and you will gain immense power. Once your soul is strong enough, you can forge a new physical body, merge with it, and be reborn instantly. Staring at the energy floating before her, Xiaobai couldn't help but gasp. That is so mystical. Mok Ly then set his terms. I can help you, but under one condition: you must obey my every command. He figured that having her around to protect his mother in the future would give him some peace of mind. Xiaobai blinked in confusion. Do you want me to call you master and be your servant? But Mok Ly simply replied, just call me Mok Ly. She bowed her head and promised, thank you. Once I've cultivated back into human form, I will definitely give myself to you in return. Mok Ly told her to get up. Stand up straight, then look down at your feet. Then, Mok Ly asked her what she saw. Xiaobai innocently replied, nothing at all, I can only see my feet. Once it clicked, her face darkened. Are you making fun of me? Mok Ly casually replied. So, why on earth would a flat-chested little girl like you, who is also a ghost, try to offer your body in return? Xiaobai screamed in rage. Mok Ly, you absolute jerk. Her voice was so loud that the entire building shook. People panicked, asking each other, what's going on? Is this an earthquake? Run! The next morning, Mok Ly opened his door and stepped outside. Chen Long, who had been waiting outside, eagerly ran up to him and asked, hey bro, are you okay? Did you run into that thing last night? Mok Ly assured him, I told you I'd help. I keep my word. That female ghost won't be showing up ever again. Chen Long leaned in close, amazed. Wow, the vibe is totally different. The eerie chill is gone, and the place actually feels alive now. Bro, you are seriously amazing. Meanwhile, Mok Ly sighed, exhausted. That little brat had kept him up all night, tormenting him, so he didn't get a wink of sleep. The night before, he had stayed up to pass down a cultivation technique to her. The way of purity, guarded only by the spirit. Hold it, and do not lose it. Become one with the spirit. A strange light enveloped Xiaobai before Mok Ly sealed it deep inside her body. When he curiously asked how she felt, Xiaobai cheered with joy. I think it worked. Mok Ly then suggested, let's go. I promised my friend living here that I'd take you away. She asked, could you take me to see my sister first? Mok Ly gently patted her head and replied, you can't travel far right now. Write down everything you want to say, and I will go in your place. He decided to contact Xiao Xiong. In no time, a reply came. Mr. Mu, I've looked into it. Her name is Zhang Xiaojin, and she works at Xianming House. Mok Ly replied, got it. Thank you so much, and thought to himself. Back in middle school, I already heard that Xianming House was the most premium tea house in Beizhou. A single cup of tea can cost tens of thousands of dollars. In my past life, I always dreamed of visiting high-end places like this. As soon as Mok Ly walked into Xianming House, a young receptionist warmly greeted him. Welcome, sir. What kind of tea are you looking for? Would you like to brew it yourself? Or should we have someone brew it for you? He asked. Is there anyone here named Zhang Xiaojin? The receptionist replied, Xiaojin is our finest tea master. Would you like her to brew your tea personally? Mok Ly shook his head. No, I'm actually here to see her for another matter. The receptionist immediately called for her. Xiaojin, someone is here to see you. A second later, a beautiful girl named Xiaojin appeared. She asked him, who are you? But Mok Ly didn't answer right away. He handed her a piece of paper and said, someone asked me to pass a message to you. She began reading the words written on the note. Sis, I'm so sorry. If there is a next life, I'll definitely be your sister again. She gasped in shock, demanding to know where this note came from. Mok Ly lied. Some time ago, a girl in an ambulance asked me to give this to you, but it slipped my mind. I recently came across it again, so I brought it over to you. Tears welled up in Xiaojin's eyes as she choked out, this is Xiaobai's handwriting. Xiaojin then collapsed to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. My poor little sister. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. Mok Ly understood this pain better than anyone. He swore to himself that he must grow stronger, so he would never have to experience such heartbreaking sorrow again. Just then, the manager of Xianming House rushed over and urged, Zhang Xiaojin, hurry up. The two VIPs have arrived. Get ready and go upstairs to brew tea for them right now. Still crying, she pleaded. I'm so sorry, manager, but I really don't feel well today. Could you please have someone else go instead? The manager snapped. Stop playing weak, even if you are sick. Suck it up and go serve those two VIPs. Once you are done, you can go home and rest." She still refused. "I'm sorry, manager, but I'm really in no condition to brew tea right now." Furious, the manager yelled, "Zhang Xiaojin, do you want to get fired?" Mu Li figured he could do a small favor for Xiao Bai, so he stepped in. "Let her rest. I'll take her place." The manager looked at this stranger with suspicion. "You? Do you even know how to brew tea?" "It's not as simple as you think." He told the manager, "Let me do it. I learned the art of brewing tea from Xiao Jin." Then, he gently took her hand. His sudden touch made Xiao Jin feel a bit embarrassed. Mu Li explained to the manager, "Besides, look at her condition. Is she really fit to serve tea like this? They're like this. Forcing her to go will only end in a disaster." The manager was hesitant to trust him, but begrudgingly gestured for him to follow. He was led to VIP room number 1, where two men sat discussing martial arts. One was Elder Chen, an internal martial artist, and the other was Elder Li, an external martial artist. To be precise, they were on the verge of tearing each other apart. Mu Li calmly sat down, his hands skillfully scooping tea leaves from the jar while listening to their heated bickering. "I'm telling you, internal martial arts are the ultimate path. As long as you have deep internal energy, you can do things an external martial artist could never dream of. That is absolute BS. Do you honestly believe internal energy is infinite? As it turns out, tempering one's body to make the muscles and bones strong relies entirely on this physical foundation. If your energy doesn't run out, your strength is endless." Elder Zhang couldn't take it anymore and stood up to argue. "Old Man Li, do you even know what you're talking about? Did I ever say we should only rely on internal energy?" But right in the middle of their tense standoff, he caught a whiff of the tea and noticed it smelled incredibly unique today. Elder Zhang turned to look at Mu Li, thinking to himself, "This young man." Soon, he was completely captivated by the faint, elegant aroma of the tea, feeling as if he were drifting peacefully through a gentle sea of clouds. Elder Zhang lifted his cup and took a sip, when suddenly, a cool, refreshing sensation shot through his body like lightning, making him feel so pure and weightless that he could abandon his mortal worries and dive straight into a mountain spring. Old Man Li took a sip of his tea and, noticing the difference as well, said, "Young brother, your tea-making skills are truly admirable. You must have dabbled in martial arts as well, right? Why don't you tell us, in martial cultivation, is the external path stronger than the internal path?" This touched a sore spot, making Elder Zhang jump up in frustration again. Even if this young brother is knowledgeable, how deep could his understanding of martial arts possibly be at his age? Aren't you just putting him on the spot? Besides, internal martial arts are clearly much deeper and profound than external ones. With that, they jumped right back into their argument. "Wrong. External is stronger than internal. No, internal is stronger." Mu Li watched them, completely exhausted. Why were they arguing again? No wonder the tea house staff was so stressed out. Then, he decided to speak up. "If you want my honest opinion, neither of you is correct." Outside, Ming Xuan, who was eavesdropping, suddenly noticed the silence and wondered, "Wait, why did it go quiet all of a sudden? Nothing went wrong, right?" Xiaojin also silently prayed that Mu Li would be able to handle it. The two old men stopped bickering and turned their attention to Mu Li. "Well, I didn't expect a youngster like you to dismiss our endless debate with a single sentence. What brilliant insights do you have? We're all ears." He explained to them, internal and external paths both have their own pros and cons. Every martial art in this world exists for a reason. All rivers flow into the sea. In the end, all methods lead to the exact same ultimate path. The two old men widened their eyes and asked, "What kind of ultimate path?" Mu Li unleashed a small trace of his power and said, "This path is eternity," leaving them utterly speechless. Elder Zhang voiced his objection. "Eternity? You mean immortality? Are you bragging without any shame, kid? How dare you use such unrealistic nonsense to fool us?" Mu Li remained calm and patiently explained, "In the path of martial arts, there is no absolute strongest, only those who become even stronger. Have you two ever thought that combining internal and external cultivation might actually be more effective?" Elder Zhang refuted again. "It's natural for young people to have wild imaginations. But how many of those who tried to master both actually achieved anything? Just like everyone else, practicing both at the same time will only make you a laughingstock." Mu Li's reply carried a hint of sarcasm. Those who call themselves experts always let their egos get the best of them, immediately dismissing anything that goes against their beliefs. With that, he channeled his true chi into a willow branch outside the window. Old Man Ly asked what he was doing. He didn't say a word, only thinking to himself, I guess I have to show them my strength to make them believe. Using his internal energy, he easily plucked a willow leaf from a distance and sent it flying with immense force. Elder Zhang and Old Man Ly, both nearly 70 years old, had never seen anything like this in their lives. They both stammered, unable to form words. He explained that the willow leaf represented internal power, then slammed a spoon into the table, cracking it in half, to demonstrate external power. This display absolutely terrified them, forcing them to gasp at his immense internal energy paired with flawless control. You are a martial grandmaster. Mok Ly smiled on the outside, but thought to himself, martial grandmaster? These guys are seriously underestimating me. Realizing he had encountered a true master today, Elder Zhang quickly apologized. Young brother, no, master. Please forgive us for being blind to your greatness and speaking so foolishly. He gently replied, you're overreacting. I only wanted to prove to you both that combining internal and external cultivation is indeed possible. Elder Zhang respectfully clasped his hands, eager to know the master's name. He politely replied, you're too kind. My name is Mok Ly. Elder Zhang proposed, Master Mu, with a status like yours, why humble yourself in this tiny tea house of mine? If you like this place, how about I just give it to you? Mok Ly explained that he knew a tea brewer here. She wasn't feeling very well earlier and couldn't brew tea for you both, so I took her place. Elder Zhang guessed, could the person you're referring to be Miss Zhang Xiaojin? He quickly calculated in his head, so Master Mu has an acquaintance at my tea house. I must hold on to this giant pillar at all costs. Seeing him confirm it, the old man stroked his beard, absolutely thrilled. It seems Zhang Xiaojin's relationship with Master Mu is quite special. Heaven is truly on my side. Xiao Ming grew anxious when he noticed there was still no conflict. Why has it been so quiet for so long? Did they resolve it? No. Maybe something went wrong, and those two powerful figures are about to blow their tops. As soon as he saw Mok Ly walking down, he rushed over in a panic and asked, how did it go? What happened? Tell me exactly what happened, he demanded. But the kid simply said everything was taken care of, claiming, I had a debate with them for a bit and managed to convince them. Ming Xuan still couldn't believe it. What the hell? How was this even considered settled? Did he have any idea who those two actually were? Who gave him the guts to even argue with them? Just then, Mok Ly said his goodbyes. If there's nothing else, I'll be heading out now. Ming Xuan had no choice but to go up and handle it himself, muttering as he walked, oh no, I'm dead meat. I'm definitely losing my job today. Standing before them, he bowed deeply to apologize. Please forgive me, distinguished sirs. That brat is just a new tea brewer who doesn't know the rules. Rest assured, sirs, I will go teach him a lesson right now, dock his pay, and kick him out of here. Old Ly turned to gently remind him, Old Zhang, if Master Mu were to hear what the manager of your tea house is saying. Before Ming Xuan could even process who this Master Mu they spoke of was, a teacup suddenly flew off the table, and the tea table itself split right down the middle. Old Zhang's face turned pale as he panicked. Oh my God, I hope he didn't hear that. To be absolutely safe, he stood up and shouted at the top of his lungs. It seems to me you don't really need that trash mouth of yours anymore. The one who needs to get lost is you. Old Ly chimed in. Master Mu is the exact same kid you were just talking about. Hearing this, Ming Xuan was completely dumbfounded, having absolutely no idea what had just gone down in the tea room. 12. Old Zhang ordered him, you better listen to me carefully. The next time Master Mu comes to this tea house, you treat him with absolute respect. If anything goes wrong, you will answer to me. And another thing, that girl, Zhang Xiaojin, is not bad. From now on, she will be the one running this tea house. In another corner of Xianming Pavilion, Xiaojin still couldn't hold back her tears. Just thinking about her sister made her incredibly sad. So Mok Ly comforted her, saying that her sister once told him that being sisters in this lifetime was the happiest thing that ever happened to her. Don't be too sad. Who knows? Maybe you two will meet again someday. But she replied, you don't need to comfort me. I watched her body get cremated with my own eyes. How is coming back from the dead even possible? Still, Mok Ly was surprisingly caring today. When Xiaojin turned around, he was already gone. Even so, she still whispered, thank you. In Mok Ly's bedroom, Xiao Bai was pacing around, trying to figure out what the strange object he had just bought actually was. Mok Ly explained that he bought this jade bottle at the jade market, and it would be her new home. His actions always left Xiaobai deeply curious. 21. Who are you really, and how are you this powerful? Where did you even learn all this? Instead of answering, he just snapped. Why do you ask so many questions? But she kept pestering him. Come on, tell me. And also, I heard that guys always hide dirty secrets in their rooms. Like, the shut-in guy living across the street has a bunch of dirty books hidden under his bed. Do you have them here too? Left completely speechless, Mok Ly pulled the cork off the jade bottle and announced, all right, story time is over. But no matter how he tried to force Xiaobai, she absolutely refused to go inside. Right at that moment, Mushin's voice called out from outside, Brother! Brother!